And it looks like we're live. And look at this full motley crew I've got sat here with me. Good evening, everybody in chat. Welcome to this week's stream. And hello to my fine friends who are here. We have Iman. We have Elfbait appearing from his hibernation.
Yes.
Welcome. We have Bear, who appears to need to go into hibernation.
I'm really sick. It sucks.
We have Joker, who spends his whole life hibernating, and we have Saxius, whose computer is hibernating for him. So
I was going to say we have Saxius, who sneaks into our caves while we're hibernating and ranks all of our things in some bizarre coded order that we don't understand.
Yeah.
Catalogs and inventories our fridge.
Like shade of rays, like what?
Wake up in the morning and everything's organized in your cupboards.
And there is a little USB drive attached to the fridge, labeled
an Excel sheet.
Excel sheet.
I was about to say he's like the Excel Nisa.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So this actually kind of sort of in a weird way happened to me once. I had to go away for 5 weeks for a job. So my buddy, I let my buddy take care of my cats. They're my cat at the time. He's a clean freak. So my home offended him. So during that 5 weeks, he cleaned my entire house, which was great. It was nice. Coming home to a super clean place was amazing. Problem was, when I went to cook supper, I had to call him and go, dude, where's this? Where's that? Where'd you put this?
So there because you can't find anything.
There you go. Catastrophe. There we go. We got one.
There's the first one. The first thing to be. That's been. If anyone's got a bingo card, catastrophe. There we have it. We have the arrival of beans.
Just Kramer's
okay, bye. Yeah. So, where'd you put my big pot? Oh, it's in that cupboard. I never used that cupboard. What are you talking about?
We had that with a recent staff member at work. She was a clean freak and completely reorganized our back room, and we couldn't find anything. The pliers we used to open people's vapes that have got all completely gunged up had been put away. We don't know where they went. I think still to this day we haven't.
Why would you even put those away?
You can't even.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, we keep them by the till along with the scissors and the screwdriver, all little tools that we use often.
Yeah, it's an everyday use tool.
Every day, yes. It was like, where are they? They've been put away.
Everybody watching from my channel, go down in the show notes. There's a link to Ye Old Geeks channel. Come on over here and join the chat here so you can talk to everybody. Mine's just a bait. Mine's the honey pot. Makes you come in.
Yes.
And then you come over here.
Yes. So we have people in chat. There's Halakar and Daniel and Andy and Mr. Baker and Tunka Todd and Mike Percival and Jerry and R. McDud Mark II. Carl De Lorenzo, King Eric, greatest of all, you're wrong. Halakar, member for 27 months. 27 months.
Not damn.
That's a long time.
Sounds like a stalker.
Yes, yeah, I do have a stalker. Yeah, and I mean, when I was at Clericon, Halakar did sign up for every single game that I was involved in. Halakar. There are things that police officers do about people like you. Anyway,
he didn't invest.
Yes. So, look at this. We have a Daniel. Hello, Daniel. Daniel will be quiet and lurk and make dinner and go to sleep. Take that off your bingo card. We have made some bingo cards with things that commonly appear on stream. We can find a way of putting them out digitally. Daniel falls asleep is one of them.
Well, I think I do that half the time just to get on Bear's nerves.
I think you succeed. So, recent gaming, fellas. Recent gaming. We always have a little blather about recent gaming to begin with. If you haven't done a recent game, then say so. But otherwise, we'll go to Iman, who's doing one of the things from his bingo card.
Not quite.
You haven't sparked it up yet. Yeah.
Yes, played Heroic with Saxius and the guys on Friday.
Yeah.
It was a very intense session. Basically, what ended up happening is one of the characters, the NPCs in our group, ended up getting shot with a shotgun, which then prompted the rest of us to then kick into gear and take things seriously and fuck shit up.
Okay. So it woke you up then.
Yes.
It did what it was supposed to do. You mean?
Yes.
Get you focused.
Yeah. So there was
DMs do things like that to get the characters on
there was a
track.
truck or a lorry being unloaded into like this warehouse, and we think that they had some illegal stuff, like drugs, foreign artifacts.
Can I get the address?
That sort of stuff. It's Capital City.
Oh, so Boxtown, Regents. Where were you?
Where were we, Sax?
You can take your own notes of this.
What? Take notes? No. Oh, there's another one. Manfred's Oinking.
Manfred's Oinking, yes, that's one of the things on the bingo card. Hello, Manfred. Hello, Robert. How are you there doing? So any other games, Iman?
Tuesday, Call of Cthulhu, and there it is.
There's another one. There's another one on the bingo card.
God, I love Call of Cthulhu. God, the session yesterday was great. We had some proper... So, following on from our topic last week, how we make NPCs engaging and memorable. Wow, did we have some memorable and engaging NPCs? We had one who was the absolute light of our lives, and then one who was the biggest sack of shit you could imagine.
Absolutely. You've got to make people like... I mean, poor Pierre, a hard-working member of the train staff. You just knew after he told you about how he was looking forward to getting home from this journey to go back to his wife and 3 children, his beautiful twins who had names and ages all given out to you. You just knew he was going to be hurled from the
What
train.
really cemented it was when Anne said, "Oh, I like this one." I was like, "Yep, bye."
Yeah, I'm going to kill him. Of course I am. I'm that predictable.
Yeah.
And then
One day she might learn.
And then so I made the most hateful NPC imaginable as well. An English ex-army captain who was very, very stuck up and drunk and belittled anybody and everybody around him. What a horrible chap. He's still alive. Of course he is.
Of course.
Of course. Yes. So, yeah.
And yes, Andy's right. Yeah, there was only one dice roll in the whole session, which
Yeah.
was right at the end.
Yeah.
It was very roleplay heavy, but my God, did we have some good laughs.
Yeah.
We did.
I
That was
appreciate this because I am a
Dirty, filthy story.
appreciator of
Yes!
Nope, I didn't say it. I didn't say it. I just appreciate the role playing.
He's playing the system. He didn't
Yes,
say
he
it.
did.
It doesn't count.
Because fuck him on, man. Every goddamn one he put on there was me like mean, and then his was all like,
No, that's not a bad thing.
oh no, Iman smokes a fucking joint, like Jesus Christ.
They're more like
John's better, 'cause there's one
caricatures.
about John, me putting John in his place. I'm like, now that's good. I like that.
No, but these are all caricatures of what we do. They're not necessarily.
Shut up.
Submit your
Welcome
ideas.
to
We'll
the
get back
dark
to you
side of
in
Canada.
5 to 6 business days.
You are the Germans in World War II to me now. You understand? You've met that part of Canada. Enjoy.
Hello, Bob. Hello, Janet. Eli, have you played any games recently?
No. Not really.
Can I change Bear throwing a fake strop about us chilling heroic to
I
Bear
am.
throwing a fake strop?
I mean, not for lack of trying. I still technically have my 5th edition game going, but with the holidays and that post-holiday crap going on, it hasn't happened. I mean, I did gaming adjacent stuff. I went over to somebody's house and hung out and worked on miniatures, stuff.
Yeah.
But no, I haven't played.
Okay. Bear,
Yeah, what?
Recent games.
The only thing I did was a couple of things I should reiterate that. Last Wednesday, had a quick session 0 of my Savage Pathfinder game, which is supposed to be tonight, but because I'm sick and not feeling well, I had to postpone. I postponed it until after I moved, so that way I'll be more settled and able to run it. But we had a good 45-minute session where they just sort of, the characters all sort of they knew each other, so they were forced to jump into the role-playing right away and get to know each other a little bit and what have you, and then they moved on, hit the road. It was fun. It was nice. It was good. They're very scared. It's quite enjoyable watching players, only one of whom has played with me before, I think. And the rest are all terrified that they're going to get... Hi, we're back, are we? Okay. Are terrified that something's going to happen to them, so they're trying to be on their best behavior. It's not going to last, but it's quite fun. And then, was it last night? I think it was last night. Time has no more meaning to me anymore right now. We played the second session of Cody's Dragonbane game, which was a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
I still need to catch up on that.
And Cody's buddy Chase is going to die. His character's going to die horribly because he's an agent of chaos who keeps provoking my Duck Knight. And my Duck Knight has two very, 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 very specific qualities. One you get, for being a duck, and the other is just one I took. One is thin-skinned, which is what the duck people are, and the other one is highly irritable, which is the one I took. So he keeps trying to basically challenge his knighthood, and came this close to getting 3 feet of steel put through him in the game, because the only reason it didn't was because the other players were like, no, in character, but and then he kept going after. That's the worst part. He kept trying to antagonize. So it's like, okay, all right, Cody's made it clear. PvP is more than allowed, so there's going to be some PvP coming up in the next second. We keep this shit up.
Well, this could come on topic for sort of problem players, couldn't it?
Could be.
Could be, yes. Joker.
Hello.
You played in last night's game.
Oh, yes. Cthulhu. Yes.
And that's probably the most vocal I've seen you last night. You got well and truly stuck in.
I concur.
Well, did you forget about last week when you decided to take me over, which was the start of it?
It brought you out of your shell, didn't it? I'll have to do that more often.
It was a long time coming, I must admit. Don't get me wrong, it was a long time coming. But
it's a year in the making. All we had to do was get Fenelic to possess you.
Hey, it's amazing what happens when you so subconsciously threaten me with the option of going to my Joker side. Do I get to go mental? Yeah.
Yes, you did. Yes.
And apart from that, non-D&D wise, I'm playing Indiana Jones's new game. But apart from that,
Indiana Jones. Oh, the video game, is it?
Yeah, the Great Circle.
I don't know anything about it. I hope you enjoy.
I didn't know anything about it either.
No, I don't know.
Yeah, they just snuck that one out. I mean,
yes, I did.
Hey, guess what? There's also an Indiana Jones game. No hype, nothing. Just hey, here it is.
The TSR one?
No, a computer game.
Oh, okay.
They did the same thing with that RoboCop game a while back. They're like, hey, by the way, there's a really good high quality RoboCop game developed by an indie studio.
Yeah, but for franchise game, they've actually got Indiana Jones done properly this time.
Cool. Well, enjoy. Saxius.
Yeah, so heroic on Friday, which was fun. We'll see where it all takes everyone. Saturday, I had the first session of my Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trader. The players are getting used to their characters. There were some rather funny moments because everyone's getting used to who's playing who, and it's a ship. There is a captain. The player who plays the captain, at one point when he was being addressed by one of the other players, because he didn't see who was talking to him, he just went, "Who are you?" And everyone just sort of said this like, "The captain. This is the officer that's your helmsman." And
we're getting audio bleed back from someone. Sorry.
I
can hear the chat.
It's probably Dan.
No.
Don't know.
No,
Okay.
either way, so
Aggravating
that,
a little bit.
so they were getting used to who is who and all of that, which is fun. It's still in its very beginning, so we're gonna go through the usual first couple of sessions of finding out how does the system work, how does this go, and I'm also trying to get everyone out of their shell because everyone's sort of thinking, oh, I can't talk because the captain's there. So I was like, no, you need to talk because the captain relies on you being an expert. So we're getting that balance sort of stuck in. We had our first session of The Witcher, our mini campaign, where I gave The Witcher 2 deadly criticals, pierced his heart twice, severely hampered his body, and brought him from 45 hit points down to, I think it was like 10. He survived all of his save or die rolls, and I also broke his sword in the first combat.
Oh,
So I'm quite happy with that. My favorite quote of that was the player going, I'm finally done," and the doctor of the group saying, "Well, your fight is over. Now I've got to have mine," because now he had to go through a number of things to basically patch them up. Not to mention he burned through so much equipment to stop all the bleeding from the Witcher. It was ridiculous. It was delicious. I was laughing my ass off.
does it count as Saxius torturing his PCs?
Yes, that's the one tick off the bingo card. Dan, I think the only game you played was MERP on Saturday, I believe.
We did MERP and then Axe Saturday night, and then Sunday we did Straw. And that was almost a TPK.
So you had a full weekend of gaming.
Correct.
Though MERP was mostly spent planning
Planning, talking.
planning to the nth degree, and more planning, and more planning, and more planning, which is not a problem. It's not a problem. It just means my material carries over to the next session. So
Planning and remembering where we were going to go.
Planning makes the next session easier. So
yeah.
Every once in a while, you need to do some housekeeping.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's true. That is very, very true. Right. We my gaming has been basically running MERP on Saturday and running Call of Cthulhu on Tuesday. Two very, very different sessions. Not much dice rolling in either, to be honest. But one was, as I say, planning and logistics. The other was pure role play and mostly improvisation on my part. I'm quite pleased with how it went. And the players seem to have enjoyed it, which is all you can ask for. We have a topic tonight. Hello, Finity.
Is there a square for how long it takes us to get off topic?
No, but there is one for Saxius putting us back on topic.
I was going to say, yeah, we got Sax.
It's the one, half dozen of the other.
Not to mention the camera zoom.
That's the free one. It's the one in the middle.
Yes, yeah, it's the freebie. That will happen every stream. Tonight's topic is the topic of problem players. What defines a problem player? What types of problem player have we experienced? How do we deal with problem players? And all that sort of good stuff. I think it's fair to say everybody here who has run a game will have encountered somebody who is a bit awkward for one reason or another at some point in their DMing career. But I don't, this is my own belief, I don't believe that a problem player for one group is necessarily a problem player for another group. I think all of us here have something in us that would make us a problem for a certain type of group. It's all about finding the right group for you. And so what would define a problem player in a game in which you play or run? I want each of you to give a fairly simple answer for this one.
Do you want a specific example?
No, just general sort of thing. And we'll go to Iman first.
I guess people who want to hog the spotlight, maybe.
Yeah, that's one example of a problem player.
Everybody wants to give their 2 cents, but I feel like some people want to give 3.
I personally don't tend to mind a player I see as being a little over enthusiastic, though.
It only becomes a problem when they then talk over other players, though.
Yes, if they're constantly talking over other people and don't let anybody else get a word in. Enthusiasm in itself is not a problem as long as it is sensibly managed. And I'm going to want everyone to talk about issues that they think they might have in terms of problems at the table at some point. But I think we'll go on to Eli. The biggest sort of problem for you in terms of a problem player.
As a person who runs games, it's mostly for me. It's really more about people who don't make characters for the game we're running. Also, people not paying attention at the table is a big one. Now I'll play through just about anything. I'll run a game and work with folks. The other big one for me is overly antagonistic players who want to PvP it even when we're not supposed to be. Those are the big ones for me. If you're not going to be there, yes, cancellations without courtesy. Like I have a player who will, like, up to the half hour before the game, be like, "Oh, I can't make it." I'm like, "Why?" "Oh, well, I have a doctor's appointment." Like, you've known about that for weeks. You know?
Why didn't you let us know? Exactly.
Yeah, last minute news. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, those are the big bugbears for me.
Bear?
Are we doing a laundry list or are we just doing one?
Just focus on your main.
I didn't realize we were supposed to be doing one because I don't have just one.
Oh, I've got plenty, but I thought we were just doing our biggest one. That's right. I'm in antagonistic mode tonight. No. So for me, the biggest one for me is assholes.
That's a bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. Would you like names?
That's a bit broad.
No, it is not. It is not.
Assholes don't play well with others. They don't pay any respect to the game. They don't give a fuck. They do what they want. They're there just to amuse themselves at the expense of others, or they just complain about everything. They shit all over it all. They're not having fun, but they keep showing up for some fucking reason. And they insist they love the game, but they act like a dick every time the game starts. They annoy the fuck out of me. They annoy the living shit out of me and do not last long in my games. But since we're going to continue with a few more, I'll continue with a few more. Malachi. John. Max Liao John. And Cody. There's some problem players right there. My whole Codex Albana group. All problem players. Shall I list why? All right, here we go. Malachi doesn't do anything. When you ask him what to do, he stares blankly at you while he has analysis paralysis. Iman, in and out, bounces in and out, doesn't really pay attention, then says weird things at weird times that you're like, what the fuck are you talking about, Iman? All right, let's roll with it. John makes a character that doesn't get along with everybody, criticizes everything they do, has a little bit of growth, and then doubles back in the next session to the point where he doesn't have the growth anymore, and suddenly they have to go through all that bullshit and drama again. And Cody does weird shit for the sake of doing weird shit that draws everybody into this, like, what the fuck moments where I'm just like, I don't even know what to do with this anymore. And Max Liao John fights every goddamn plot point put in front of him as if it's trying to kill his family. No, you're not problem players. You're just players. And that's my point. And there's a big difference between a problem player and players. And that's what you need to really understand when we talk about this, guys.
My feelings are hurt.
Why? I've never played.
I didn't make the list.
I've never run a game with you in it. Maybe if I ran a game with you in it, I'd be complaining. Doesn't pay
I'll
attention.
believe you would. And I'll be saying what they are in a little bit.
See, Joker, you're fairly new to the hobby. You haven't run games. Give an example of the sort of player you would not want to play with.
I'll let you know when I come across one.
Fair enough. That's
But
I
no,
admire
but no. I mean, I do double agree with people that seem to turn up and not add anything to the thing they've arrived to. And at times, yes, I have felt like that before you start smiling, Iman.
I was smiling because John's smiling.
But thankfully, I'm starting to feel my feet, which is just basically time will tell. But
I think with you, it was a bit of a confidence thing.
Well, that too as well.
You're in amongst quite a few experienced, quite forthright players who
and me. Don't put me in with them.
I put you in as a forthright player who says what he wants when he wants.
I'm very pokey and proddy. Yes,
you are. Yes, you are. Yes. So it has taken time for your
for me to find my voice in the middle of it all. Yes.
Yes.
I'm a slow burner. Let's put it that way.
We just play it off the sleepy Jerome finally woke up. So.
But yeah, apart from that.
Well, Bear has already mentioned the big one for me. Outside of that, I'd say non-constructive. Iman's been in my game. I've described my games quite well. I am detail-oriented. If you don't keep up, get out. Because, my God, I know what kind of DM I am. I know what kind of players I run games for. And I think it is better for me to filter out the people that are not fit to be in my games and that will not gel with me, and just move on from there. Yeah, that's me done.
On a side note, I miss being killed off by you.
I'll see when I finish kill off another group of players. And,
I'm just thinking, do I hide now before I get bombarded by it?
On another side note, really, what part of town were you fighting crime in, Iman? I'm so curious.
Search and memory banks aren't working for me right now.
Wow. Sax, man, you're gonna have to punish him.
No, I'm gonna work on this.
Daniel.
Kind of ironic. Me. You have the guy that drinks too much, falls asleep, gets distracted by cooking dinner with a dog, with a wife for the kids, blah, blah, blah. Although I do like what Bear said, assholes in general, but that would make me the asshole. So there you go. Me. I am the guy I do not want playing at my table.
That's a shame because you're the only one who's always with you.
Exactly.
Once enough, that's what he's trying to say.
Now, see, you can tell a difference. The weekends that my wife goes to either one of her two children's houses, you can tell a difference in my gaming because I'm the only one in the house. The dog's sleeping. I don't have to cook for anybody because I don't have the kids. It's just me and the computer, and that's it.
And Jack.
Or yeah. But if I have the family, which is every other weekend, then it's a cluster, and I am that asshole. I'm the one not paying attention. I'm the one always in and out, and that's annoying.
that's
So I
something we
apologize.
that's something we. I mean, most of the games we play on Saturdays are very casual, sort of drop in, drop out. And part of the point of that was the fact that I'm aware we are all adults, we all have responsibilities. Look at me trying to play from work on the occasions I can. It's one of those things where we have those adult responsibilities, which can make it a little difficult depending on what your schedule is. And unfortunately, with me working in retail, weekends are a pain in the arse. My own answer, I mean, the players that wind me up as a player more than anything are those that try and tell me what to do. You may or may not have noticed, I'm quite a best way
Everyone,
to put it.
Let it go. He left the door open for us to say things, but we'll let it go.
Go on. When I'm playing, I do put my point across quite forthrightly. I tend to play characters who will say what they think when they think it. Now, and if there's another player at the table who's trying to tell me what I'm supposed to be doing, I will react badly to that. And I'll react badly to that every single time. And as a DM, I don't particularly like seeing that at the table either, where a player takes over and starts telling all the other players what they should do, mainly in mechanical terms. Things like, well, you shouldn't choose that because that does that much damage, and you should do this, that does more damage. Just let the player do what they want to do. Are they the biggest assholes? They're the ones that get rub me up the wrong way. But I think Eli made a good point. Those that make characters that just don't fit, that don't engage with the world, those that have in their own mind what they're going to play, don't pay any attention to the premise for the game, and just create a character that just doesn't fit.
Yeah. Can I jump on that?
Mm-hmm.
That is probably, outside of people being assholes, that is my number one hate. Hey, we're playing a superhero game, and we're going to be taking it seriously. They're going to be super serious, so they play the comedy character. Hey, we're playing Star Trek, where you're members of the Federation, you're in Starfleet, you believe in diversity and equality, and all, and they play an asshole, violent character that just wants to disrespect everybody and stuff like that. That kind of person drives me up the fucking wall. It's like, why are you here? Why did you waste everyone's time by showing up? Why did you, Beans? Why did you waste everyone's time? Stop fighting. You're going to get a swat.
While I'm thinking of it, it's the DM or game master, whatever you want to call them, don't care what system, that favors one person over everybody.
Oh, it's just because you're never the pet. That's why you don't
exactly, like it. I'm not. I'm always a redheaded stepchild.
Redheaded stranger.
You gotta be careful. I've been accused of favoring a player, and then I looked at the rest of the players. I'm like, well, they're the only one doing something.
Yeah,
they're the only one engaging with the game. So of course I'm gonna point everything at them because they're the only one having fun.
Yeah. I mean, probably the correct answer to that is to the others. Do something then.
Yeah.
It's like that meme of the guy poking the with the stick. Do something.
Come on, do something.
Yeah. So, how do we deal? If obviously the best way to deal with a problem player is to spot the red flag beforehand and say, no problem player. You will not be playing in this game in this manner. And if you don't want to play in this manner, if you insist on playing in this manner, then you won't be playing. But we can't always spot it beforehand. It is something that can sometimes rear its ugly head only when you've started playing. So how generous are we when these sort of things appear? How do we try and resolve it if we do, short of boot.
Generous
Well-
isn't the right word. I think tolerant is probably a more apt word. How tolerant are we?
I'm intolerant to all things and all beings.
Saxus, you have a comment.
Well, this is why, generally speaking, I vet the people I get into my games. I sit them down and I say, like, you and me are now talking. I'm going to be putting you in through situations where I run the games, how I am. Now, if this is something that you can see is being fun for you, great. If you're thinking it's a bit iffy, hey, it's better to save yourself the hassle and say no. And I've had some people who have been mature enough to say, you know what? I don't like the style you're describing. I think I'm going to miss out on that. I'm like, that's good because now you're saving me time from not having to, potentially get a better person and having you, sit and argue with me. Great. That's good for me. So by sitting down and basically telling the players, here is what I'm going to be like, here's what's going on. I did that to my real life group where they were all just people from Reddit who lives in the same area where I just went, right, here, we're going to meet here. They all referenced, Critical Role. And I went, right, let me just bring down this hammer. I am nothing like Matt Mercer. I am genuinely going to be trying to kill you. And I'm going to be putting you through the ringers. And that is my style. Now, I will gradually build you up towards that, but you need to understand what I am like as a dungeon master because I don't want to waste your time.
Yeah.
And I don't want to put all this effort in from my side either. So that is what I do. Outside of that, once I start seeing that there's a red flag, I ask myself, is this something that can be adjusted? If it's a personality issue, I don't try to adjust anything. If I have a personality clash with someone, I would rather boot them and explain to them, I don't gel with you. It's very simple. I do not get along with you. I don't like you. Simple as. Can't change it. I'm going to ask you to leave now. Like, it will get to the point of where I will start having a negative reaction towards you, and it will be completely unfounded beyond me just sitting there going, I do not like you. Full stop. And it will take a while for me to turn my head around.
I
It's not a
sometimes
problem
wish.
player, but
I sometimes wish that I could be like that and be more upfront with what I think more quickly. I've often, certainly around my friends and family, I am too forgiving, at least for a while, of traits that aren't particularly pleasant. I always try to look for the best in somebody, and it takes a lot of trouble, and often I'll dig myself into a hole while trying to look for the best in somebody before I finally realize that this person is not redeemable. And that goes for me in life in general. Unfortunately, had encounters with dickheads who have taken my soft heart for granted in the past. Because I am a big softie. I'm sorry, chat. I am a big softie. I'm a big wimp.
You're not big.
I was gonna say.
Okay, man.
You're a fun size. I do what Saxis does, but I also burn their house to the ground, destroy their family, salt the earth of the line of their ancestry, and then build a temple upon the remains of their previous lives dedicated to me and me alone. No, I just kick them out of the fucking game after one chat. One chat. This is what you're doing. I'm not enjoying it. It's not fun for anybody. Can you please not do it? I don't think you're doing it maliciously. They do it again, you're doing it maliciously. Get the fuck out. Done. I don't have time for this bullshit. I do this as a hobby to reduce my stress from life, not to add to it.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yes.
Unsurprisingly, for most people, I'm sure, I'm a pretty accommodating, easygoing GM who will work with people for a good while, and then when it finally becomes clear, then I have no problem kicking them out of a game. But I'll usually give them every chance possible. I don't believe in betting players. My game is open, and the whole thing is everybody gets trust and upfront. It's for them to fuck it up and screw it up. Same policy I used to give with my kids. I'll give you plenty of rope. Whether or not you choose to hang yourself with it, it's up to you.
Yeah.
And so when it finally comes down to it, I mean, the long and the short of it is I had one guy in one of my games where I put him on a corporate style action plan.
Yeah, put him on a pip.
Yep. He had a verbal, he had a written, and then he had a fine. It was made very clear: if you keep up the activity, you third offense, I'm booting you from the game. It worked.
Listen, Steve, at this point in time, I just wanted you to think that we'd like you to explore other gaming opportunities because clearly we're not a good fit at this point in time.
I mean,
we don't want to be standing in your way.
It helped that he was a coworker and we were on the same team in the same environment, so it's very much a language we spoke. Of course, another player of mine in that game are both of ours direct supervisors, so I'm sure he got a kick out of it. But
that's hilarious, man. Okay, Beans, no. Just no.
Yeah, I mean, it worked. I mean, it kind of comes into that category of talking to people, and I will usually customize my approach to the player. If somebody's just being an absolute dick, then they're not going to get all of that. They're just going to be asked to leave because I don't have time for that. But if somebody is problematic because maybe they're overly excited, like this particular player in this particular case, he kept wanting to get equipment before they were anywhere where they could get equipment. Like, it's like, I'm just going to put on my sheet. I'm like, no, you haven't gone to the town to buy the thing yet. You're not going to put it on your sheet. And he kept wanting to write it down. He kept wanting to do stuff like that. He was just really eager. And so for him, it wasn't like he was really being a jerk. He was just, God forbid, too into the game. Because he was playing his character and he was having a good time. I had another character, though.
A bit impatient.
Yeah, and he was relatively new. Like, he hadn't played since like 2nd edition. And so I had another player in that same group, and actually 2 players in that same group who were why I don't allow secret squirrel crap at the table anymore. It's all over the table. If you're going to be secrety and sneaky, it's fine. Everybody at the table knows it. They can role play it. No passing, no secret agendas. Yeah.
Secret squirrel shit.
Secret squirrel shit.
That is literally my favorite combination of the letter S 3 times now. Secret squirrel shit.
Because it killed that game, and it caused one of my players to quit.
That's
just it became antagonistic between the 2 players, because of the secret squirrel guy. But yeah, again, the point being that I dealt with that for a long time. And finally, but I've had players where I'm like, look, you're just clearly just not into it. Go away. So yeah, very customized, very personal approach. I don't vet people up front, but at the same time, I have no problem asking them to leave if they become an actual problem.
And is that elf bait finding the middle path?
Probably.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank
you, Daniel, for the 5 memberships. I can't see YouTube to see who's got them, but
we got one from Malachi. We got one for Barney Fraggles. We got one for Mark Thompson, Todd Clark, and I'm assuming someone I blocked got the other one because I only see 4.
Well, you know that's going to be because there's only one person you've blocked as far as I know. He always seems to get one.
I know.
Right, so thank you, Daniel. And Mondo, hear ye, fun size. I am fun size. There is a picture in my Discord right now that Halakar took of me with Bear stood behind me.
No,
and it absolutely dwarfs me.
Where is that? I got to see that. Which
Absolutely. Shall we find it? Shall we find the picture?
Yeah, I want to see this because that's hilarious. Because you were like Hobbit sized, man.
I am. So yeah. So here we go.
We're like talking like a serious like Master Blaster thing going on here.
Almost.
next con, John can write it on your shoulders.
We're doing that next year. We're putting John on my shoulders, and he can go, "I rule."
Yeah.
Who rules Clericon?
Master rules Clericon.
Embargo.
Yeah, there we go.
There we go. There we go. Me and the bear.
Oh. That was a good weekend, though. I missed that.
It
weekend.
was.
Fun.
It was a good weekend. Yes. So yes,
Really
I am.
what the doctor ordered.
Look at the height difference between our shoulders. Bear in mind, most of my height is in my fat head.
I was going to say, but I didn't want to say because I'm nice.
Okay, most of my height's in my fat torso. That's in general chat. Oh, cool.
It is, yes. So there we go. Lovely. Thanks for the picture, Halakar. So now you can see the height difference
I'm wearing the
between
same shirt. Oh, that's so cool.
Bear is smaller than I envisioned him. Bear's shrunk to about 6'2".
Yeah, I used to be 6'3". I'm 6'2.5".
So let's just go back to this view. There we are. But thank you, Mondo. Thank you very much for the donation. McDuds Mark II says, as a rouge specialist, rogue.
No, maybe he's got really, really good cheekbone makeup.
Really, yes.
Yeah.
You don't know. Who the fuck are you to kink shame, Hobbit boy?
As a rouge specialist, I have to pass the GM notes, even if the note says, hello, thanks for running the game. Making all the players paranoid is a lot of fun. I mean, like I said at the start, I think all of us will have a trait, something we enjoy, that will make us a problem player at somebody else's table.
Absolutely.
And I think we should all own up to one now. And I'm going to start here to see where everyone comes from. I will not play a game that intensely involves theory crafting or grids. I mean, I will play on a board if necessary. I know I played in Major's games, and he uses miniatures, but he's not overly fussy about them. What I mean is about people who count the squares, 1, 2, 3, and theory craft everything, including utter optimization of characters. No, I mean, I do believe in the old D&D niche protection idea, whereby each character has a role in the party and should be able to fulfill that role to some degree. So I'm not the sort of player who will roll a character with 3 strength and say, right, he's going to be a human fighter who fights with a quarterstaff with 3 strength. I'm not going to do that. If you make a fighter, they should be able to fight, at least to some ability. But I'm not going to sit down and pore through every single damn book an option to make that character as perfect as possible. I refuse to play that sort of game. I don't enjoy it. I'd be a problem at that sort of table that plays that way. There you go.
All right. Are we doing rounds, or is it just whoever jumps in?
Let's go round.
All right.
As evidenced by earlier this stream, sometimes I need details telling to me again. But it's not necessarily because I'm not paying attention. Sometimes I'm just inebriated.
That's
fair. That's fair. Well, whatever.
For me, it's taking the game generally too seriously. And like I am not, just like you're not a good fit at min-max tables, John. I'm not a good fit at silly tables. I mean, unless the game is supposed to be silly, in which case I'm probably not going to play it in the first place.
Yeah.
I mean, the closest I've ever come to that is playing Toon, and that's just because I like drawing cartoon characters. So really, I made more characters than I played Toon. But yeah, even if I'm playing a character who's comedic, it is in the sense of a true comic relief character where he's still there with serious intent. He just says funny things.
Yeah.
Solo says funny things. Matthew Broderick's character in Lady Hawk says funny things, but he's still a relatively serious character. Yeah. He's an actual character. So when I get it down at a table and people are doing rampant, crazy shit left and right, then I check out. I'm like, all right, get back to me when you're adventuring.
I'm 100% with Eli on this. Nothing annoys me more than people just trying and playing for the comedy in a serious game, as opposed to letting the comedy happen organically through the events and through the things that happen in game, which leads to the thing that I don't like, which is the inability to intimidate or make players scared of anything. Right? Like the giant monster comes in, all blah, blah, and they're like, they're too cool for school. Nothing intimidating. The main villain, Dr. Doom, is talking to them, explaining what he's going to do, and they're just like, whatever, Doom, fuck you, Doom. I get so annoyed by players who refuse to actually role play their characters in that situation, understanding that their lives could be on the line. And if you can't see your character in that light, if you can't understand your character's life matters to your character, unless they're specifically a character that has been created with the ideal of having a death wish, a la Mel Gibson in Lethal Weapon or something, you're just not taking it seriously, and you're being a real pain in the ass to have in the game. It's why I won't run horror games, by the way. I will not run horror games because of that very specific reason.
Okay.
Thank you for attending my TED Talk.
Thank you, Sergeant Dan. Thank you for the Imperial pint.
I think it should be IMP-Imperial, because you are the size of an imp.
Yeah.
All right, calm down there, leprechaun.
I can't do an Irish accent, so
You can't do any accents. What are you talking
Yeah, I
about?
was about to say, like, can you do any?
Why single out the Irish?
Don't be knocking my accent now.
What is that?
What the fuck is that?
It's my
My
shit accent.
God. Just stop.
Wow.
Be ashamed of yourself.
You know what I really hate at tables? People who do shitty accents.
Yeah, seriously.
I feel personally slighted by that.
You should.
Personally slighted.
You know what I hate at table? People who are really sensitive.
You know what? I hate people take everything personally and think everything's a slight against them.
Right, I'm off. Then. Taking my ball and going
I'm
home.
gonna go.
I hate
taking my
rage
dice
quitters.
and going home.
Flip the table, bitches. Whatever.
What about you, Joker?
My desk is heavy.
Well, no. What was the question again after all that?
What are you guilty of?
What are you guilty of for doing as a bad player?
Was there a question? I apologize. I didn't realize.
For being a bad player. Well,
Or problem player, or whatever.
well, yeah. Everybody needs their fair whip of speaking. But it's kind of, if you're gonna be a player, best thing is, you're gonna not be the only one. It's not gonna be a one man role playing show. So you got to be aware of everybody else in your party, and they have ideas and what else, and every
So what
else
you're saying is what you're guilty of is not being aware of everybody in the party and letting them all have the or what? What are you personally guilty
what I'm guilty of? Probably not speaking up enough, but I'm working on that.
And I will say it's something that it is taking time, but
It is.
We're making progress, and that's all I care about. We're making progress.
Yes.
Because you are new to this hobby.
Indeed.
You're relatively new to our group, and you've come in with a lot of people who are.
What are you talking about? He's the only one left from the original group. We're all dead or insane.
But
Right, so
like I said before, I had my friends try and teach me how to do 5e, and this, you get this, that, and every other level. I could never get my head around doing own character sheets and whatnot, and leveling up and that. And then come to your lot with the OSC and that. And it's like, I'm going in the easy way. Yeah, that is it's a lot.
It's not simpler. It's not simple.
Yes, that too.
What are you guilty of, Saxius?
So
Killing.
very much, I'm going to be driving you up the wall because I am absolutely coming in here to win as a player. I am going to be crunching it through, reading the core book, cover to cover, theory crafting, playing the numbers. I know I've dragged Iman into a call or two with some of my other players where we sit and we go through For example, heroic, where we basically discuss, okay, well, what can we do here? Can we do these combinations? What can we do for that? How can we, do this to, just absolutely wreck one another? Why? Because it's fun. Big numbers go boom. I like that, and that's the simplicity of it. But I like coming in with it, and that's why I'm better now. But I used to then try to take other players aside and go, right, let's go through your character sheet. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Why are you not making use of this?
That one. I mean,
Yeah, but
I would annoy you in our Monday game. We're playing in like a Greek heroic themed campaign, and I'm playing a warlock, and I didn't know beforehand quite how much it would lean into fighter characters being favored in that campaign. My character can't use martial weapons, can't use heavy armor, or even medium armor, can only use light armor. And I had the intention of going in and not picking Eldritch Blast because it's become such a meme for warlocks. It's become dull. So I wanted to use other spells. And it's the worst possible campaign to do that in, as we found out. The character is still, he still has his uses. He still has spells that will have an effect. He's not completely useless, but he does feel a bit like a spare part sometimes.
Well,
because he's not a big damage.
But that's my point. Is like as a player, this is what I've done in the past, and where I would have tried to take other players aside and sit with them and understand why they are not using their optimal usage, why they are not using their spells, why the healer is not doing these things, or if we're taking 3.5. I'd be asking why they're picking any healing slots when if they are a good cleric, they can drop out any spell at any given time in exchange for a healing if they've picked the right god, or depending on what god that they've then gone for, why you're not making use of the domain spells that you're getting in addition to what you're having. That's the sort of thing that I do as a player. So, like, like I said, I'm better now. I don't take people aside, but I still run my games with the whole mindset of like, you gotta know what you're doing. Like, once we get
quickly, just real quick, Halakar's waiting backstage.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, I hadn't seen him because he's dropped. He's dropped below the screen. I can't scroll down.
Private chat has. Never mind. I mean, continue, Saxius. My apologies, sir.
It can pretty much be summed up with that. That's what I'm like. But then again, this is to the shock of no one.
It is.
Oh,
Daniel, I think you've already answered this question by saying that you are the player that you wouldn't have in your game because of getting distracted. Is that what you would class as being your worst trait?
It's yeah, and I am guilty of that, and I always at least try to apologize. But we always had that one person at the table, and I'm guilty of that. Especially now more than ever, because between the kids, the pet, the house, it's just always getting up. And I don't know how many times I'll come back to a game and somebody, whoever's running, Dan, are you there? Yeah, I just step away. I'm sorry. But I don't know. I'm going to say, hey, I got to step away for a moment. Every time I do, you guys are going to hear that every 3 minutes.
To be honest, Dan, I would rather you did do that and say, because at least we then know you've stepped away, even if it is quite frequent. Because certainly with our online games, we understand that we all have lives. We play in different time zones. I mean, it might be 9 o'clock at night for me, but it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon for you. If you've got your kids over, you're going to have dinner. And part of the point is our Discord games are not meant to be all that serious, with the slight exception of the Call of Cthulhu game on a Tuesday, where I do expect a greater degree of engagement from the players.
And that's the ironic thing. That's the one day I can do.
Right.
but note taken, and I'll just say, hey, I got to step away. So, yeah. And no, I'm not going to go cry and wipe my nose or anything else because you said that.
No, don't worry. Don't just say if you need to.
You never know.
If you need to step away, just say so. That's the thing. That's the thing. I'm easy when it comes to that. I'm sure everyone else who's running games, Gene or Gingerbeard, whoever else is running a game, will be the same. Because that's partly the point of those Saturday games, is to just let people play very casually.
Yeah.
Welcome, Halakar. Sorry if I kept you waiting.
Oh, it's okay. It wasn't long.
Because there is because if I actually removed my screen, there we go. You've appeared on the same line as everybody else now, because you were a line below. I hadn't spotted. So we're going to go back to the first question for you.
Sure.
We were defining problem players and problem sort of. What's your idea of a real problem player if you're GMing?
Well, there are problem players, and then there are players that play their character in a way I don't like. A problem player is going to be the one that's late. When they do get there late, they take up another 30 minutes catching up with everybody, and just we've got a very limited time to play. Usually it's a 4-hour slot once a month, and if somebody wastes 30, 45, or an hour's worth of time of that, it has a big impact on the game.
Yeah.
I think that's the worst one for me. Now, when I was younger, it was a whole different set of things because we would play 10 hours straight, so time wasn't that big of a concern. But right now, I would say that's it. And I've not really had a problem with it. We all agree sometime earlier in the month what day we can all get together. We set the time up. If anybody needs rides or anything, we set that up. So it hasn't been a problem. But that would, I think that would be it.
And what's your worst trait at the table that
Where
would make you a problem for some groups?
Like several people have mentioned in the chat, if things aren't progressing, my character will do his best to take charge of the group and get them progressing. My paladin in Expedition to the Barrier Peaks, like, dude, you spent 4 sessions and have looked into 3 rooms. This isn't going to work. This ship is huge.
Oh, that's true. That's true. There was a lot of fanning around in that. There was the straw piglet determination to break locks when every time they damage anything in the ship, a security robot turns up and kicks the shit out of you. That certainly delayed things a bit. No, that's right, straw piglet. You were doing that, but there again, he was playing a character and he'd rolled an intelligence of about 5. So it's one of those things. I've woken up the straw piglet.
And then I've also played with again some of the player styles I don't like. Mm-hmm. There back in the 90s, our group was huge. There was like 12 of us, and one of the people was one of the regulars' friend. And all her whole character concept was, I want to be a hot bitch because she wasn't, and that was what she wanted to role play. So she takes her highest stat in charisma, which has all sorts of potential. You can do a lot with that. But she spent over 2 hours buying her basic gear because she was trying to flirt with the shopkeeper and yada, yada, yada. And it was Gromag and whoever it is, the 2 evil guys in Hamlet that she was trying to sweet talk. And it's like, I'm going to go in the other room and watch TV. You come call me when the adventure starts because I had this shit done in 10 minutes.
Yeah. Well, that's a case of play styles not meshing, which can create problems at the table and can create problem players in the moment.
I always had a guy. He always wanted to play a thief. They played the thief like a fighter. And then he wondered why he got killed every week.
And he didn't learn.
He said, dude, you're a thief. You're not a fighter.
That's the way the dwarf from my current party is like that. He's a fighter thief, and he didn't roll real well for his hit points, but he still thinks fighter is his primary thing. Well, he's on his third character. You know, at some point it's going to register that you have to play to your strengths.
Mm-hmm.
Although I feel bad because the one time he tried to do a thiefly thing, he tried to climb up to the roof of this house. He fell and almost died in the fall. Which was
And the simple fact is, every one of us is different. We are all different people with different gaming preferences, different gaming styles. I'm not. You're all.
I'm somewhere in the middle there.
You're all neutral.
According to my Excel sheet,
I'm a newt.
Everybody else.
I got
Gentlemen, it
better.
appears we're not all in agreement. I disagree.
I'm a newt. I got better.
Yeah. We are all completely different. I mean, for example, I've run games now for yourself, for Joker, for Daniel, for Iman, for Straw, for Manfred, and for Brian, other people in chat. Everybody is very, very different in their approach. Straw, for example, is a problem solver. If you put him in a group, which is very high role play, it won't suit him. He would much rather that, for example, that logistical session for Merp is right up his street. Finding traps in working his way through Tomb of Horrors, right up his street again. But you put him in a really role play heavy group, really story game heavy group, dare I say a bear type session, I don't think Straw would fit that sort of game. He'd be the problem. But you put him in a game where you've got plans to make, problems to sort out, logistics to work out, and that's when he's in his element. We all have differences in the way we like to play.
That's what makes a good party in most party-based
Exactly.
games. I mean, if everybody is the same kind of player, then you better have a campaign that's focused on that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Or if you want to have fun, have a campaign that is diametrically opposed to that type, and then
Well,
watch the chaos ensue.
It's still focused on that, whether it's for it or against it.
Fair.
And I think in terms of all the other
Right,
players
yeah,
I've played
and-
with,
Do you mind just give me a quick second? Sax, what we're talking about is adjusting your style to match the group of people you're playing with, as opposed to just inflicting your style upon strangers. I know you didn't understand what Eli and I were saying, but I thought I'd just translate that.
No, I do appreciate the translation. There were some parts here I was thinking of, like this doesn't really seem to add up here. But as long as it's a you thing and not a me thing, that's fine.
I'm not sure
Yeah.
Page has a word for cooperation or mercy. So,
I mean, for those who are playing the stream bingo, I will say Saxius can adapt goblins. There we go. Cross that one off.
Right.
Cross that one off.
Yeah, you can also cross off IQ migrating to the shed and
I
sparking
think
up
he was
a
just
joint.
responding.
Fine. As a dirty, filthy story gamer, I often feel blah, blah, blah.
That's 4 right there. 4 in 10 seconds.
4 in 10 seconds. Joker, go on full Brummy.
What do you mean, but?
What?
That's 5.
There we go. That's 5.
To the thief comments earlier, I think thieves honestly thief players are some of the most consistently problematic players.
Chaos. Absolute chaos.
If they're not stealing from the party, old school thieves, a lot of times they're doing unnecessarily thiefy things. We had a game where the party gets to the city. They're waiting to get into the city gate. They're having to wait around. Thief decides that rather than go through the gate like everybody else, he's going to try and climb the city wall to get over the wall. Spends several attempts trying to get the grappling hook up to the top of the wall while the guard are looking down on him, and continues to work at it, and then decides when he can't score with his grappling hook to grapple the wall that he's going to go in through the sewers. Meanwhile, the party's already in the city.
having a beer.
You were starting to shop, but he had to do the thief thing. He just had to be thiefy. There was no story reason for him to get into the city clandestinely.
So he arrives covered in shit, and he's like, "How did you
Actually,
guys get
arrived
here? I just walked in through the front door."
Beardless and hairless as a dwarf because he decided to light a torch in the sewers and touched off a pocket.
Yeah, I have a real problem with players that only want to be agents of chaos, but not in a there are players who can be agents of chaos in a very productive way for a game. My buddy Pat is like that. He's 100% agent of chaos, but he helps the story, he helps the game, he helps everything go along. Cody's an agent of chaos, perfect example. It helps the story. But then there are the people who are just doing it for their own amusement, and they don't give a shit. And they're just trying to they're just making fun of the situation for their own benefit and their own personal little joke that they think is fucking hilarious. And people like that, I want to, and I say this without a hint of irony, I wouldn't do it, but I want to slap them so fucking hard in the mouth they can't taste food for a week. Because they are now putting their personal amusement ahead of others and at the expense of the other players. And as a result, those players may quit the game. They may not come back. They might be offended. They might say, you know what, fuck this guy. It's a waste of my time. I got better shit to do with my night than deal with this asshole's bullshit. You know what I mean? It's like the prankster, the person who's always making practical jokes. Fuck off. Go get laid, and maybe you'll feel better about life, and you'll have a different perspective on shit. I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? Like, it drives me up the fucking wall. Yeah. And I'm a funny guy. Like, I'm not even I'm a funny fucking guy. But that is it's not humor. It's mean. It's a little bit of bullying, and it's very passive aggressively, disrespectful from my taste.
And I mean, I'm going to play whether it's devil's advocate or not here, but I'm going to say that I don't think everybody who does cause a problem in a game realizes they're causing. There will be some. But I don't think everybody realizes. This is why I'm a bit of a softie when it comes to it. I mean, and I would like to be a bit more forthright and say, look, this is causing a bit of a problem sometimes, but I am a bit softer around the edges when it comes to that. But I think certainly when you think of the type of people who get drawn into our hobby, we're not the most self-aware. In general, is that fair to say? Is that too much of a generalization?
I think it's too much of a generalization based on the people I've played with over the years.
I would say statistically, there's a higher instance of neurodivergentness within the community, but that's just.
I would say
sample size is small, and the hobby itself attracts certain kind of folks. But
I would say not with this group.
But the
have you met Iman? Iman is
there is that. Okay, I'll give you that.
And Saxius is the fucking spectrum, color-coded and alphabetized.
But the pool of players is also expanding because it's not the usual stereotypical crowd that you are referring to, Geek. It's expanded quite significantly. It's become more mainstream. You have more people. Yes, things have also changed along the way. Yes, we've all got a little bit of something, but at the end of the day, there are other people who are quite aware and more what's called open-minded to accept that they need to change a few things to be a part of the thing. Yes, go on, Eli.
Oh no! I was trying to hold my finger up, but the filter was
I thought you were like, no, I must push him out of the way.
We mentioned Cody 3 times, and he just showed up.
It has showed up. Yes, we've mentioned you, Cody. No, Agent of Chaos.
The wider pool of players is definitely a point, but it also means that you get lots more people who are. I hate the term, but I'm going to use it here for effect. Casuals who are just there. Just to do something and aren't really into the hobbies necessarily, or they're invested at different levels than people who are super into the hobby. Also, a lot of people who don't have the neurospicy reasons for being awkward at the table are just dicks. So they're going to join your game and be a dick because in daily life they're a dick, or maybe they can't be a dick in their daily life because job, family, social constraints. Look, here's a place where I can play a dick and I can be as dickish as I want because
why do you think I enjoy DMing, especially Call of Cthulhu with nasty villains?
Because you're a masochist.
I'm going to say, I'm going to make that point now. I spend my day dealing with members of the public. And for someone who finds that sort of thing frustrating at times, I will admit that when it comes to my Tuesday night Call of Cthulhu sessions, it really does help me channel out some of my inner frustrations that I feel from work.
You don't say.
I really do think that, and but I do think that certainly a lot of the most creative DMs will have that sort of streak in them, because you are thinking of ways to challenge your players. You are thinking of ways to put your players, their characters, in difficult, nasty situations. You're coming up with villains with hideous motivations. So having that sort of frustration in there, I think, can be a bit of a almost a beneficial fueling factor if you're going to be running a game.
Kind of redirecting your energy.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was pointing to Saxius there.
Yeah.
I've seen people though turn the worm. I've seen people be the dick and then realize that, hey, this is a lot of fun. I enjoy being around these people, and I don't need to take all my shit from work. I can actually have fun and do things.
Oh, yeah.
And that is one of the benefits of being a dirty, filthy story gamer, by the way. Because it feels less like a I must win situation suddenly in a game. It feels more like I'm participating in a collective narrative, which can then drive character interaction better at that point in time. Where if it's just all about kick indoor, kill monster, take treasure, that leans into the dick behavior, you know?
Does it all? It all depends. I think it all depends on group dynamics.
I've spoken. What are you doing contradicting me? No, I'm kidding.
But no, I mean, coming back to my point about people being a little bit awkward, I know it has been mentioned before that people who find my channel and come to my Discord are more likely to be of the old school leanings. And we're talking about all these new players, new casuals to the hobby, or more normal people coming into the hobby. The people I mean, it's almost certainly the people I'm around, you guys in the Discord, and that, we're more likely to be of those old school leanings, and more likely to be the types of people who began gaming at times when it wasn't quite as socially acceptable, because we were a little bit different. And if I've trodden on your toes, that's me, my lack of self-awareness. But no, that's my own. That's my own belief. I'm fine with that. I'm absolutely fine with that, because with the exception of one person, I've never really had to throw the ban. I've never had to throw the ban hammer around. There was just one person who came into the Discord who thoroughly deserved it. And for that person to push me to such a level where I ban him permanently from all my forms of social media, he had pushed me. He'd pushed me a very, very, very long way. This is the same person who had a fight with you, Eli, and you, Iman, in the Discord.
I was thinking, yes.
Yeah, I knew who you were talking about.
Yeah.
You're gonna pick a fight with me, of all people.
Right, exactly.
You know what my least favorite player behaviors is when you're sitting around the table having just some social time and everybody starts talking about someone, but they do it in code, so you don't know what the fuck they're talking about, and you feel like you're hanging with a bunch of meat girls.
I'm sorry, man, you're not part of the special club.
Whatever, Lindsay Lohan.
But no, those people who are busy in my Discord around that time will know exactly who I mean. Somebody who came in and proved himself to be a dick.
I think
Will
John
someone-
was trying to be nice,
Wait.
not secret.
Is that one of you sending me a private message on Discord so I know what the fuck is going on? Why, thank you for the consideration.
I'll do it.
I mean, honestly, go ahead and call him out.
Oh, well, Snufflecunt.
Who?
Snuffle cunt. What? Who said that?
I remember that name.
Yeah, I think I saw
I
it
do
once,
remember
like,
that
a few
name.
years ago.
I
To give you
appreciate
an
that.
idea, to give you an idea of the level of dickishness that drives me to that. Myself and Iman were discussing boxing.
Yes.
We were discussing the
Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngannou, I believe.
Yeah, we were discussing that fight. He threatened to report us to Discord's admins for advocating violence, and told me that he had reported my Discord to the admins for hate speech.
So basically, he was trying to convince me that John and a bunch of other people on the server were racist because look at what they said, but he only gave me little snippets, whereas John
Out of
sent me the
context
entire screenshot.
Entire conversation, so all the contents of what was said. He was picking out bits of sentences and little snippets out of context.
Yeah, I can't even remember
Like,
his argument with me.
That suited his narrative.
To create a narrative, yeah. Whereas I'd saved the entire conversation just to say this is actually what we were talking about.
So I have the entire truth and the context that goes with it, and I just looked
Yes.
at him and was like,
Yes, Bear.
"Mate, come on."
Stoner, look up at the camera for a second.
Yes.
It's my fault. I asked. I'm so sorry. I will never do that again. I have learned my lesson.
I mean, I can't even remember what he and I were arguing about, but I think it was basically.
It was
We
something
were
about
saying-
politics.
No, it was.
Active, get us on track. Fuck.
Yeah, but I'm literally sitting here like, okay, can we just get back of this because it's literally pointless to.
But he was a problem player.
He was a problem person, and what he was trying to do was to disrupt the Discord. That's not the point of this conversation. Now,
Good point.
in regards of what's it called, a person that's going to be trying to do anything of that form. I mean, at the end of the day, you have the power. At least, going to speak from my perspective, when you're generating a Discord server, you have the power to at least kick people out. You can block them, and you can just move on with your day. I mean, hardly do. That's it. They're just another number that you come across or another voice. You don't need to let them get to you. I know it's easier said than done. With real life, that's a bit more of an interesting case because you now need to basically either go, right, we're now arranging things behind their back and then just out they go, or it's going to have to be the whole confrontational thing of like, we are not going to be a part of this, and then they're going to try and argue that case. You have to basically go, no, it's not a statement, it's not a discussion. I am telling you out of courtesy because I'm your dungeon master, your game master. You're out. And then that's it. And if they decide to start showing up, it's like, well, we are now rescheduling and having to relocate because someone's deciding to be a bit of a stalker. Hardly do. Either case. Like, that's the most extreme thing I can think of, but yeah. Either way, other forms of problems. What else is it that we find that is either irksome or that we have learned is irksome to others? How about not knowing the system 1 year into the game?
I had a different one, but yeah, let's go with that one.
Yeah, that works.
So, if a player is in your game, and it's been a year, should they know the system by then? Should they know what dice to roll at that point?
Okay.
Assuming a baseline of brand new to the game, yes. Otherwise,
yes.
otherwise they should come into the game knowing it if they've already played it before.
All right.
Some of it depends on the person.
Even if
have
it
a
was
few that when they get excited, they will literally forget everything. Just that rush of neurochemicals shuts down the logical processing part of the brain.
fair.
That is a fair point.
Yeah.
I see Joker nodding at that.
Yes.
So what we did with the group that lady was in, I actually made posters. They were like giant Post-it notes, or great big huge things you'd put up on a whiteboard, the flip chart things. And I put up, for combat, you use this dice, and I took a little picture and put a picture of a 20-sider up there. Look at your strength, add this, do this, and that determines if you hit. Then this determines your damage, so that when she got in that excited or frustrated state or whatever, she had a visual reference to walk her through the steps. But then I also have people that just don't. the dwarf in my group right now has been playing for 10 years and can't tell a 20-sider from a 12-sider when they're sitting on the table.
Are they shape dyslexic?
I think they just like having someone over their shoulder. Well, look, here's what you need to do. Here's what you need to do. So I think it's a call for attention.
I ran a Nubler 5e game, and I'm after 2 months and hearing from which one's the D12, which one's the D20. I made a placemat for all of them that had the dice listed down the side with an image of the die for them. Oh. And then before the game, I put all their dice on the fucking image down the fucking thing. I'm like, this is done. This is fucking done. Oh, girl playing the fucking cleric, here's your fucking spell cards for 5e. Learn your fucking spells. That's the last gift I'm buying, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because Daniel was
going to say something then. Just before
sorry.
Come to you, Daniel.
No, my thing is at least know the basics. I mean, most of us, for whatever systems we play, we've been doing it for 35 years or more. So we know what we're doing. But at least know, okay, my cleric has X spell. At least know where to find it quickly.
Yeah.
Don't ask the DM, what does this spell do for me? You ought to at least know where to find it if you don't know it off the bat.
I mean, in this day and age,
not knowing what die to roll is inexcusable.
Yeah, in this day and age, we have way too much technology to not have your resources at your hand. Even before there were apps and tools, I mean, copy and paste and print your spells. Way back when, write them down on note cards.
Christ, when we were in high school, you go to the library and make a copy of it.
Or if you were us, we would go down to the Christian bookstore and use their phone to copy D&D stuff.
Yeah.
Give them to your friend's mom to take into the office and make copies for you, because otherwise they were a nickel a page.
Yeah.
Mom, can you take this book to this to work?
I have seen people have difficulty. You're talking about spells. Cure Light Wounds is different between basic, first edition, second edition. Yeah. So ones that predominantly play this edition, when they play in my 1E game, sometimes they don't realize that there's a change in them. A lot of spells went through different metamorphoses throughout the expansions or the editions. So that can be a challenge.
Well, yeah, but that goes back to me when I said, know what system you're running.
And I had someone that was new to the game, the very first time playing, with a bunch of us that had been playing since the 80s, and they had a cleric. So I had little Tupperware containers, and I put dice in them. It's like, if it's a Cure Light Wounds, take the lid off this and roll it. That's your dice for that. Then put them back when you're done. If it's a healing potion, you got a tube with this many 8-siders in it. You take the top off that tube and roll it.
That's similar to what Bear did with his idea, like laying the dice out to the people.
Mine cost me printing up a piece of paper on my computer. Halakar sounds like an investment, and fuck them, they're not worth that much money.
See, for me, I like doing that kind of stuff.
And I don't brew crystal meth in my garage, Halakar. I don't have a lot of tubes lying around to use.
I mean, I've got players in my 5th edition game who, after 3 years, still don't know what their magic items are. So
this Slan's comment here is a reference to Mage's Musings' most recent video.
Yeah, I saw that.
If you haven't checked it out yet, do so.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I guess it was a house rule. We always played a wizard could dispel their own spell.
Or you were transposing something from AD&D to OSE. to BX because we mashed those up all the time.
Yeah. Just let chat know. I am. I've started starring comments that we're going to come to in a bit. So keep making your suggestions in there. I've got at least 5 comments starred to come back to. I'm not ignoring you. I'm just starring things for now for us to come back to in a little bit. So keep going, chat. Keep going, chat. You are appreciated.
Even in war games, we used to make references like Halagar was talking with the posters, because war games are really exciting and you're back and forth and stuff, and it's easy to screw up and forget the attack matrices and stuff like that. So having a poster, just look up at the wall if you brain fart in the middle of your attack roll.
Well, my friend's wife had ADD and anxiety. Well, that's why I said to play at their house, because she could not go to somebody else's house to play.
I'm not that bad.
But then it also turned into a problem because we'd always have food set up, and she started turning it into a smorgasbord. So every 20 minutes, she's going over and checking the temperature in the hot pot or the slow cookers to make sure nothing is below 145 degrees. And it's like, Nick, it's okay. If we die from the food,
that's why you invest in a bunch of Bluetooth thermometers that she can have hooked up to her phone, so she can sit at the table and monitor her food.
Well, that's what takes us to technology, which is mentioned in there. I'm gonna come to that in a bit. Technology at the table. Yeah,
I will not tolerate somebody's phone going off in the middle of when I'm giving a room description. So help me God, if I knew I wouldn't have to pay to replace it, I would take it out and throw it through the sliding glass window.
Hey, if it's because spinach puffs are done, I'm okay.
What's that?
If it's because spinach puffs are done, I'm okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right.
Yes.
That phone can chime all at once if it's going to mean food.
So
he says that is my microwave went off.
I mean, about rules.
Microwave. Did Iman's feed freeze up? That's on the card.
I mean, about rules and stuff. I see it more as a problem playing online games when people don't know the rules, because it does break the flow. When I'm actually at the table, I couldn't give a shit whether someone knows the rules or not. Just describe to me what you're doing, and I'll adjudicate. I don't know if you saw me running the game. Were you in the game at Clericon? I was stood up most of the time. Guiding play. I'll quite happily tell people what to roll and when. All I want from the players is engagement and a bit of role play, and I will just then deal with the mechanics.
I figured that was just so you could see us over the Game Master screen.
Yeah, he's a funny man. He's a funny man. But I mean, I ran a long AD&D campaign, and at least the players knew which dice to roll when they got to learn that. But beyond that, I didn't teach them any of the combat rules. I memorized tacos and things in my head. So I'd say, roll. I'm attack. As long as they knew when they roll to attack, they roll a d20. That's all that mattered. Roll to attack. There you go. And I'd be able to look at that and go, well, okay, just because I've got a stupid autist brain which goes bing with numbers. I'm lucky like that. I know not everyone's like that. I'm lucky like that. But that helps me in running a game like AD&D. But it also helps me the fact that I don't stick to every rule religiously. I bend and break and twist as much as I like. So
now that kind of brings up something else. It's not that it makes a bad player, but it can be frustrating. And again, sometimes it has to do with what edition they grew up with or are most familiar with. In my game, any player can try anything. I mean, obviously the fighter's not going to be able to cast a magic missile, but if the fighter wants to try to climb up a wall and sneak behind something, I will let them. They may not have a chance in hell of succeeding, but anybody can try anything. It's like, you tell me what you want to do, I'll decide what we're going to use for a statistical basis of success or failure, and then away we go. So I will do a lot of I call it a save, but they'll roll versus their various ability scores.
Yeah,
and
I'm the same. To make it up in the spur of the moment.
Some people just can't do that. Well, I don't have a feat check saying I can attack so that I can use my shield to bash somebody. It's like, you got a shield, you got an arm, you got a brain that controls that arm, you can shield bash.
Yeah.
I think one of the best things I ever learned when I was learning how to play, we kind of found the game when we were kids and sort of taught ourselves how to play it somewhat wrong. And then when we finally ran into a senior player, like 3 years older than us, one of the best things they did, and I've carried this over to my gaming nowadays, don't worry about mechanics. Just tell me what you're going to do.
Yes.
And then we'll figure it out. And even as an advanced player, in my eons of rolling dice now, I would much rather my players tell me what they're doing and then let me make a decision. Do they even need a roll? A lot of things are common sense. If your fighter's like, it's a very dark room and I'm going to try and sneak along through the shadows and get behind that guard. Okay. Go ahead and just do it. I mean, I'm not going to make you roll, or if it's particular, maybe there's a chance he'll make some noise, make a dex check, but I would much rather have players think creatively than mechanically.
Hang on. We all know how I feel about D&D. No need for me to go into the fact that you've turned this entire conversation into all role-playing is D&D. That's neither here nor there. The point is this. Hang on. The point is this. If the fighter just has to make a simple dex check to sneak through the dark room, why are you penalizing the thief for having a percentage chance that is much lower success chance possibly at that level than a simple dex check?
That generally comes down to a misunderstanding of what thieves' abilities are supposed to be.
Well, if there's dice and rolling, if they just do everything automatically, why not remove the dice and just have a conch shell game where you just have a story game where you all sit around talking about what happens together?
And that is why in later editions they address that. So,
now, see, since my game, we started out at 0 level. Everybody started out with a small ability to do anything. Like everybody started out with half the percentages of a first level thief. So anybody can try to pickpocket. You may only have a 2% chance of doing it. And then if you're wearing clanky armor, it's going to be even less.
And there have been Dragon articles written on that.
Yeah, I'm sure there have been, but I'm just saying, this is one of the things that drives me nuts about the old school mentality of D&D. You have classes that have abilities, but then you take why don't you just try and see what you can do and roll a dex check or do it. So as a result, why have the classes in the first place? Because you're now penalizing the people that have specialized skills by allowing other characters to just make stat checks, which are way easier than usually the skill percentage chances. So the answer is usually, well, they don't have to roll in those situations because they're so skilled. Well, then why the fuck do they have the skills in the first place if they don't have to roll? We get into this really weird area, and I know we're off topic, Sax. I'm sorry, I apologize, but I was listening to this while making coffee. It's a really weird area where, do you want to play D&D or do you want to play what I do? Because if you want to play D&D, those rules must be adhered to, because they're there for a reason to make the characters special, and that's why you have classes and things like that. If you want to do what I do, which is just let's have fun, play characters, and see what comes out of it all, pick a better game. Pick a game that fits that better and doesn't fight you at it, because I find D&D fights you at that stuff. Sorry.
Let me come back. Let me come back on that. I mean, I will allow characters to attempt something, but I do believe in the niche protection, and thus the character that is skilled at it should always be better at it. There will be situations when a non-thief cannot succeed where a thief has a chance. There will be situations where a thief will get a bonus where a non-thief will not. That's the way I
for you. Listen, if that works for you, great.
That works for me. I will call for dex checks and strength checks for situations that are not defined by the rules. But if it's there defined by the rules, I will use the rules and adapt them.
Yeah.
Just remember, if you're crossing a narrow bridge and you're all roped together, it actually makes your dex check worse, not better.
Yeah, that was according to Forest Oracle. Yes, that is one of the things in the Forest Oracle. Yes. you get a penalty on a dex check if you're all roped together. Yeah.
And back on top.
I can see that.
We're not here for bad modules or problem modules.
No, we're not here for problem modules.
Thank you for indulging my side check, gentlemen.
Scorecard him on.
Something I do need to quickly
bring
bring
up
up.
D&D as well.
Hello, Peter. Hello, Ernie. Hello, Lionel. I haven't said hello to you. And Mac. We've got lots of people joining in. It's nice to see people. I'm just going to show something up on screen that we have been mentioning.
Hello, Ernie.
We have been mentioning.
Hello, Ernie. Hello.
What's this?
Ernie's running Tomb of Horror for us on Sunday.
There we go. That's what we were mentioning earlier. For those who haven't seen it, that's the beginnings of the Yogs stream bingo card.
And I made sure to hit my square. I don't know if you saw it in the chat, but I got it in earlier.
Oh, you did. I counted it. We've got 16 out of 25 ticked so far.
How many left?
What are we playing? Blackout?
Did I tell you I don't? Did I tell you I don't like sci-fi?
Oh, there it is. That's 2 bingos.
That doesn't count. Good grief. At least make it be organic. That's what you like, isn't it, Geek? Things to develop organically.
Of course,
I'd say, yeah, pushing for squares doesn't count.
Has anybody watched Princess Bride?
No.
Oh, for God's sake.
No, never heard of it. What is that?
I do not think that means what you think it means.
So there we go. There we go. I just thought I'd show people
it's
that.
less of a bingo and more of a checklist, I suppose, but still.
Right.
Or you could make it a drinking game.
Hey, just
That
so
would
you
be fun.
know, I resemble that remark.
Well, I figured if you're dozing off, that would wake you up.
Sir Devere is my character in Bear's Codex Albana game, and he has something firmly stuck up his backside at all times.
Right.
Yeah,
You
might
have
be
some
moving
comments
forward
that are
eventually.
start, John. If
I
you can bring them up.
do have some. Yes, thank you. I've got quite a few starred comments here. Brian's been
back on topic has been crossed off 4 times now.
Brian's been pushing this one with a few comments, and it is about time we brought this one up. If there are 6 players in voice chat, we should expect that we should hear from you about 1/6 of the time over voice chat. One guy speaking all the time is a problem. I'm going to say to this, there will be some variability. You do get people who are naturally vocal. You get people who are naturally quiet. But everybody should be allowed to speak as much as they want to within reason. And yes, if you have got a few forceful characters at the table, they do need to learn to rein it back in, especially over a game which is based on Discord, voice chat. It can be difficult to get a word in edgeways when you've got some forceful players. It can be a pain in the arse when people start talking over each other because everybody wants to get a word in at the same time. And it is a difficult skill to learn. And we haven't all learnt it properly.
And I try to be wary about doing it. But hey, you don't have a right to laugh, mate. What are you on about? You got the opposite problem.
Saxius.
I have a very different experience to you. I find that some people are, when I have people who are like talking over each other, they immediately go back off and go like, "Oh no, you go," and someone needs to now stop that deadlock, as 2 people are now insisting that the other speaks. There's quite a lot of well-mannered people that I've seen in online gaming. So what I find is that it is not something that will come innately. It's much like a dance. When you sit around a table, you're trying to do the dance of like, okay, how do we do this? Who does what? How does this interact? And as a game master, as a dungeon master, you are going to have to also say, all right, thank you very much for you. And I want to hear from this person. You've got to go through and segment it, divide and conquer, and then pick on people and say, you are talking now. It's like, I don't have anything to say. Well, what are you doing? I'm doing nothing. You are sitting in your tavern and looking at the wall. Yes. Well, on that wall there is a window, and you're now seeing something. I was like, here you go. I will force you into action. And if you will do nothing at that point, it's like, well, I've given you 3 chances, and good day, sir. And then you move on.
That's one thing that I will say you do very well, Sax, is you sort of like you say, segment like each of our sort of interactions like fairly. Like, yes, some sessions you'll pick on one character, me, more than others, but it is very fair the way you do it. It's like, okay,
I will say that's easier to do when you've got like 3 or 4 players. If you start getting more players, it can be more difficult.
Even with like six players online, like that can definitely be done. But again, it does mean that you're going to be having to, as a game master, you're going to have to sit there and go like, okay, you're talking, we're now dealing with this, and so on. You're going to be a bit more engaging with it, and it's not going to be overnight that this is going to be done. If you're playing once a month, okay, that work's going to be on you, the game master. You've got to like do something about that to make sure that's being established, like who is talking when, because the people will not remember how this is going to be done. They won't even remember. They will struggle to remember what happened last session because of the amount of time that's passed.
Mm-hmm.
All my games are regular every single week. People learn how to do this dance because they have to. They do it regularly. It's the same people every time. And if I find that someone is being a little bit too enthusiastic, I tell them to stop. If they don't, I can mute them. I have muted people before in my Discords, and I've just gone, you're not talking now. Boom, done. Don't care. Not hearing you.
I'll have to try that sometimes. I will say there is a help for this. It's not a perfect solution. It doesn't work every single time. It's not available to everybody, but it is easier when people have their cameras on. You can see when someone is wanting to talk.
It's mandatory in my online games to have the camera. If you don't have the camera, you can't play. So.
Yeah, I was going to mention, there's a technological limitation aspect to all of that too, because of course, so the normal social cues aren't there without the camera, and then also even you have to take into account lag and delay between different people.
Yes.
A lot of people aren't actually trying to talk over each other. They're trying to talk and didn't hear that somebody else was starting to talk.
And some people naturally sometimes take a bit of time to get their words out. I know there have been times, Joker, that's affected you because of confidence issues and whatever. It can take and same sometimes with Daniel. Sometimes when he's distracted, he can sometimes. Daniel, we need your attention. He's like, what? He's been distracted. It can take a little bit of time to get the words out, and you have to be accommodating.
Wait, what were you saying?
Don't worry about it, Daniel.
Save versus death.
Yeah, save versus death. Multi-20, Daniel. But no, you
called marriage.
You try to be accommodating online. And it can be difficult. It can be difficult. We do have issues where people talk over each other. And as Eli says, because we're not in direct contact with each other, the same room, the social cues aren't available. So
there's a really great social cue that works no matter where the camera is. It's a great social cue. No? Okay, that worked better for you guys over
there. Why you only flying at half-mast? Put it up there.
No, metric. How about metric? Does metric work for you?
So, yes. If there's 6 players, I would generally like to hear everybody at least 10% of the time, because there will naturally be more quiet people. I will give you an example. When I started running a game for one particular group, there was one guy who was a bit younger than all the others. He was quite shy, new to gaming, and he would often just sit there with a silly grin on his face. And I'd be wondering, is he really into the game? Is he really involved? And you'd occasionally join in with a bit of silliness going on. Then one Halloween, I've mentioned it before, I turned up with AD&D and Tomb of Horrors and say, look, we're going to do something different. It was a puzzle game now, and he came right out of his shell. He hadn't got the confidence to tell us that's what he wanted. And that brought him out. It gave him more confidence, and from then on, he was a lot more forward in the sessions. The ice had been broken. He liked solving puzzles. He liked coming up with mad ideas to get around difficult situations. It wasn't the combat he was there for. It wasn't so much the interaction he was there for. He wanted to solve problems.
Mm.
So sometimes you've got to find what the players want to bring them out of their shells. And that can stop them being a bit of a problem. Another guy used to like to crack jokes and mess around quite a lot, but he used to doodle all the time, and that kept him occupied. So they made him the mapper of the group. Boom, problem solved. He was constantly engaged. Loved it. He was drawing, and it was constructive. It worked. So you've got to sometimes work to bring people out their shell. But for me, it's not so much 1/6 of the time; it's 1/10, because you're going to get natural variances in how much people talk. Look at our streams. Like, where is he? Where's Omanal these days? Bring Omanal in. He'll be talking 95% of the time. We'll all be talking 5% of the time. We'll be fighting for that. but Omanal, we miss you, mate. Wherever you might be, Omanal.
He's sucking the oxygen out of a room somewhere.
So, but yeah, thanks for that question, Brian. Well, I'll move on to the next one. Here we go. DM rule for cell phones at your table: totally prohibited or some restrictions. I would like it to be totally prohibited, personally, but I accept the some restrictions because there are people whose jobs require them to be on call. So as long as they are considerate about it, I don't mind.
Yeah.
Eli?
Really, I don't care. Because I have some players who are actually going to be worse off at the table without their cell phone or something else to occupy them than they are with it. Certain folks, and I'm going to use the term again, but their neurospicy tendencies need something, a coactivity, to be able to focus. And if they can't do that, then they are going to just wander off into Scoodly Doodly land.
No, we're not going to Scoodly Doodly land. I will not cross that border again, sir.
Yes.
Now, I don't mind.
I feel a little bit called out right now.
I don't mind them using it as something to keep themselves occupied as long as they don't drag others in too. You know, I mean, if they're looking at their phone and that keeps them from being a major distraction, okay. But if they're, oh, hey, check this out. Listen, look at this video I just found.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, that's BS.
No, that's get the fuck out.
But if if my kid is playing Candy Crush, so their brain doesn't wander away from the table,
right?
I don't care. So.
The Dane first. I forgot your name. Sax. Oscar, you're first.
Hi.
The Dane.
The Dane.
I actually think it's been quite beneficial to my games by having people with laptops, tablets, phones at the
Excel
table.
opened.
Excel. I've done it. I've done it before. Especially now that we've got a number of different applications that actually help my 5e group. Me being able to say, okay, can you quickly look up this rule because they've got D&D Beyond open up, so they're like, okay, we can quickly look up these rules. Similarly, I do most of my games are done online. I am sitting with the computer all the time. All my players are sitting with the computer at the time. I mean, what am I going to do? Start telling them to broadcast their screen so I can check that they're not looking through YouTube shorts? It's just like at this point, like the people know what they're getting out of my games. If you're here to distract yourself and go like, "Oh, I didn't catch this," like, well, not my problem. Ask someone else or take it into the chats where you can then type to each other, because then I'm going to focus on someone else while you are catching up, and that's got to be you and someone else that will do that. But it's not. I don't see it being detrimental. I'm seeing it being quite beneficial. Anyway, I'm done.
All right, tag me in.
Yeah, you're in. Right that way.
There we go. Tag me in. All right. My only rule on the phone shit is if it comes your turn and you weren't paying attention, your turn's done. That's it. Like, wait, what's going on? We're doing what? No, sorry, you were too busy in your fucking phone, so you do nothing this round. Moving on. And that tends to solve the problem real quick because people hate losing their turns, right? So real simple. Because I mean, a lot of my players in real life, they have kids, they have jobs, all that kind of shit. I understand they need their phones, they need to be able to. But if you're gonna fucking just sit there and Candy Crush or whatever the fuck it is, and then when it's your turn, you go, "What? No, your turn just went away." Look at that. It's amazing what happens when you don't pay attention. Oh, and the dragon's attacking you. And then we're off to the races.
Well, Sax mentioned laptops, and that's the guy that was the note keeper or the note taker in my game.
I am the note taker.
He had our calendar set up, so I mean, he would take notes like on the 1st of Cold Bright, this happened on the 2nd. So I mean, that was cool because
they're using it constructively. Brilliant.
Yeah, but see, that's different than dicking around.
And he was a serious enough player. He wasn't going to be watching, cat videos on YouTube instead, because he did not want to miss any possible thing that he might be able to use later on. And that was awesome. I was really disappointed when he had to leave the group, but
shit happens.
What's that?
Shit happens. Iman, you had your hand up, didn't you?
I did, thank you. Interacting aside, please have it on silent, for the love of God.
Yeah, don't watch a movie while we're playing the game, please.
Not naming anyone in particular.
Bob, are you watching porn over there?
Watching porn? Okay.
I mean, well,
okay.
They're dwarves. It's game related.
We legit had a guy in the office once who got caught watching porn on his laptop. Cost the entire office the internet for like 2 years.
Right. And the topic is what we're returning to.
Problematic.
Quickly, hopefully.
Players watching porn during the game would be problematic unless they share.
I was on topic. It strayed off really quickly then.
I know that just went woof. It's like a ricochet of a tank.
Please have it on silent. And then for me, like, I use my phone to look at the handouts because it's easier because I have my laptop for like Owlbear and Discord and other things.
Yes, of course. If we're playing online, we do have our computers open. We use a shared dice roller, don't we, for Call of Cthulhu, for example. Everyone can see the dice. Yeah, he's Owlbear for that. Andy does his notes on his computer while he's going. And there's a lot. I mean,
and Anne does her drawings.
Yes.
Yeah. And which are fantastic. As long as it all doesn't get in the way, that is the major issue. Where I feel it does get in the way is I feel certainly there is an over reliance on some modern utilities when it comes to storing character sheets. I much prefer players to have a paper character sheet where they've written down and worked out their character's mechanics while creating the character, so that they understand where the pluses are coming from, where the skills are coming from, why this character's got so many hit points, or why sanity is at this level, or why your hit bonus is at this level, and so on. I think that is a problem in the current day and age, where you've got apps that do all that for you. I think it lessens the understanding of the game mechanics, which can cause problems. That's my main bugbear there. But aside from that, as long as it doesn't get in the way. Next question we've got here, and this goes.
Hand up there.
Oh, who had a hand up?
That was me.
Yeah.
Because I was going to tell you, like, I cannot disagree with you anymore. Like that is, yes, I very much disagree with that. Because there are you run rules like games. I don't. So to me, the online things like Roll20, the papers and the character sheets of that are an absolute godsend.
All the more reason for them to have a paper character sheet to understand more.
No, because it speeds it up. I am able to have a very interactive combat from a otherwise rather, condensed set of rules, but it gives me the rule sets and the setups for it to be the kind of deadly without me being arbitrary, which is what I want. But no, I don't agree with you, but then again, we've got very different styles, and I quite like the online version because it means that things can be done quickly. You click on it, it rolls it out. Here, done, dusted, go.
I mean, I'm not referring, for example, to in Roll20 where you've got you click a button to roll to roll a d20 or whatever. That's fine. I'm on about things like D&D Beyond, which calculates everything for you automatically, so players don't know exactly where they're getting bonuses from. I like them to know where they're getting their bonuses from.
I think there's a lot of assumption going on there because I think that's going to come down to your players, like anything else. Because my players, while they don't know what magic items they have, do know where their stat bonuses and stuff come from on D&D Beyond. Plus, on D&D Beyond, if you really need to know, just like having it written down, you can usually there's hover card in there and stuff where you can actually hover over it. It'll break down the number for you.
Yes.
The technology does not prevent understanding. It facilitates speed of play and keeps people from sitting there having to go, now, what was my plus again? Because they did that well before there was technology at the table. So,
I just disagree.
Okay, if you're allowed to disagree, you're allowed to be wrong. It's my stream after all, so there. just the once. It's just the once. Not twice.
3 times a lady. Move on.
But no, we have our own experiences with that. So I think Bear sort of alluded to this. DM gives descriptions. Player immediately asks, "Did you just say such and such?" DM gives more descriptions. Player immediately asks, "Did you say such and such?" Pay attention. Yeah. Pay attention.
Okay, so Oscar, I'm going to ask you on this because our heroic game, right? A lot of the times, let's say in combat situations, when it comes back around to my turn after other players have done things, I will ask you things to clarify exactly what the situation is, right?
Yeah.
But I'm still paying attention, but it's like, I have to ask questions for clarification.
This isn't about clarifying questions, though. Clarifying questions are what good players do.
Yeah, like
it's covered in moss. It's dark. There's a chandelier hanging from the ceiling. That's sputtering candles.
What's the chandelier made out of?
What?
Yeah, it's made out of crystals.
What's the chandelier made out of? That would
exactly. It's made out of bones.
Yeah.
Ooh. Are there candles? Like that's clarifying questions, Iman.
Well, I just described sputtering candles. So if you ask me if there's candles, then you're back into the situation.
Right. I wasn't paying attention. I'm bad.
I'm just fucking. But no, clarifying questions are not a problem. Are not the problem. It's missing the basic information to begin with.
I see.
That was the drawback of some of the old printed modules where they were written in High Gygaxian because Gary's motto was, if you can explain it in 5 words, 24 is better. So,
and those words are each can be 32 letters long.
Yes. So sometimes, or with your technology, if you've got hiccups in it, I could see one time having to repeat it because there might be, maybe you're doing it in your Hobbit accent, and they're like, "What in the world did you just say?" But I mean, at some point, like, do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Kind of thing.
Is Joker the one talking? Because then it's 50-50.
Yeah. Look at the camera so I can see your lips move. Then I can read them.
Yes. But yeah, I accept that. Of course, there are going to be times when you do have to repeat yourself because we haven't got perfect attention. But it's when people do it consistently, and when you're having to repeat yourself over and over and over again. And yes, the point about how things were written in the old days, Gygax would also plunder Old English words that have been forgotten for millennia as well, which didn't help. But it doesn't happen so much nowadays. But you still get players going, "Huh, what was that? Huh, what was that?" consistently, and that's a problem. So yeah, if you've got something else you're doing which is distracting you, and it is consistently causing the DM and other players to repeat themselves, then it's a problem.
I mean, if you're deaf as fuck, I'm not gonna care. That's different because I have a friend who's like hearing is destroyed from the work he does, or the work he does and the hobbies he's had in his history that he didn't take proper precautions for, I should say. So he's going to go. What was that? Excuse me. Can you repeat that?
But if you need allowances to be made, then be open. The other thing is be open about it. I mean, for example, you might have situations, as we know Daniel does on a Saturday afternoon when we're playing the game, or when he's got family things going on, and sometimes we do have to repeat things, but that's because it's a casual game and it doesn't matter so much. But just be open about your situation. If you are partially deaf, if you've got a problem with your headset or whatever, then just let people know.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a player, particularly bad ADHD too, who often, despite their best, would miss stuff because their brain would wander. I mean, and I know that person. I know that, So there's always going to be exceptions, but yeah, I mean, generally speaking, pay attention.
I think Brian is also clarifying on his statement here by saying that it is for people who have divided their attention between being on their phones and then suddenly realizing that you're in the middle of giving a blurb. In which case, we can almost defer back to what Bear was saying earlier, which is like, oh, well, your character was distracted. You don't know what's going on now. And in which case, they did not now need to get the information from another player. And then it's a case of like they just have to either react or just learn to get on with the schedule, ideally. But at that point, it's also almost a case where you can. What I've done before is I've just folded down the screen and gone, really, like, okay, what's going on here? Like, why are you not paying attention? And then just right there, ask them point blank, what is it about the game that is not interesting to you? Because if you've got to put them on the spots and make them uncomfortable, I was like, well, tell me what it is that's causing you to not want to be a part of the game. Because it sounds like if that's the case, that you would rather be on your phone, then why are you not just on your phone and not here? Well, we can then contribute together.
Yeah.
And if the case, so go on.
No. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, well, it's just a whole case of like, well, if that's something that's being seen, not just ones where it's been a case of like, okay, they got distracted, fine, happy days. Second time, it's like, no, like, pay attention. Third time, okay, no, you're on the spotlight now, and I'm gonna have some answers here. And if it's not, to the point of where you can say, fine, I'm gonna do it properly, and it's like, well, you need to, because I'm kind of getting fed up with you. That's not. I, from my style, don't see anything wrong with having maybe a shorter fuse with things like that, and simply saying, you're on the spotlight now. I am addressing you, the individual, and I'm stopping the game to address this because now it is irking me, and if I'm not having fun, it will affect the entire game.
Amen.
If you were on your phone or laptop, whatever it may be, looking up game-related stuff, I have no issue.
Yeah, that's fair.
If you're looking at TikTok, Candy Crush, popping bubbles, put your damn phone down and pay attention.
Yeah.
So what was that?
I'll use my real life group. I'll use my real life group. I do have, again, as I said, people who use tablets, phones, and the whole like to look up various things for the game. That's fine.
That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, which is fine. Like, okay, they're doing that. I'll quickly do that because I know I can trust these players. I know what the deal is going on. Anyway, yes, Eli, I don't want you to hold the hand up for too long.
No, it's fine. My hand is always up here playing with my beard anyway. So, no, I mean, I think it's only my take on it, honestly, especially with any kind of distraction at the table or perceived distraction at the table, is to wait for it to be confirmed as a distraction before I address it. Because I will tell you this: in college, I used to get called all the time, called out by my teachers, my professors, and stuff all the time, because I would seem like I wasn't paying attention, and they'd come back, Eli, what are we talking about? And I'd be able to throw it right back at them. Why? Because I'm doodling on my notes, because doodling helps me remember. And so you might have a player who is seemingly distracted and can come right back with what it is. It's like you have to make. I mean, don't assume that they're distracted just because they're doing something else.
Yeah.
Like I was saying earlier, that something else may be what's keeping them present at the table. So
I sit and line my dice up into patterns.
yeah, people do dice towers.
I don't build dice towers. I line them up into patterns.
Honestly,
One of my kids built a whole ass dice jail out of popsicle sticks at the table while we're playing.
Yeah, I sit in roll joints and I sit in smoke joints.
you guys don't see it. I sit here every conversation, every game, and I'm playing with a revolver for a pistol. So,
I don't monetize my streams anymore, in case you're wondering.
Man,
If we don't know by now.
Well, yeah, because we can't talk about card games because that gets you demonetized.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
what?
I said the wonderful word of.
Yeah, Trump suit. Yeah.
I think Brian's right here. If you're mentioning the voice chat split causes more to defer more often the goal was achieved, yes. I think being over polite and deferring to people, though it can be a little frustrating sometimes, is infinitely better than constantly talking over. Infinitely better.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know. What the hell are you talking
Yeah,
about?
what the hell are you
I'm
talking about?
sorry.
What's it going on?
Dan saying something, I don't know.
What are you talking? I don't know. It's my turn.
Halakar's put one here. Huge pet peeve. People play. I've got a solution for this, Halakar.
Collect them at the end of the session.
Yes, that's right.
I don't collect them, but if somebody has just gone up a level, I will make a photocopy of it and keep it.
My old AD&D group.
Digital character sheets.
My old AD&D group. I would collect the character sheets in at the end of the session, and I would take them away with me, and they wouldn't get them back until the start of the next session.
No. I would
Although
not,
the
I
one
would not,
thing-
not be a fan of it.
Back in my day, we had binders, and we liked it.
Yeah. One thing I will go back about 5 minutes. I do prefer, somebody else mentioned it also, I like having a physical player character sheet. I don't care if whoever is running the game is keeping track of everything. I still want my own personal copy.
You can have that as long as I've got a backup copy.
It makes it easier for me. And Axe and another one that I'm playing, they have everything copied. But I have an abacus. My computer's shit. I want a physical copy.
I really prefer my players to keep their character sheets, and as a player, I prefer to keep the character sheet because that way you can look at it, study it between sessions, and learn. You want players to know their characters, well, they have to have access to their characters.
Thank
I
you.
like to have a copy of it.
But I don't care if it's
That way
digital or physical. I don't care if it's digital or physical. If they can look up their character on D&D Beyond and get all the stats, then more power. Yeah.
If I have a copy of their sheet, then I don't have to, out of the middle of nowhere, say, okay, I need you to roll a d20 for me. And then the whole party is on alert to something. But if I have their character sheet and say, okay, well, your background is shipwright, then I can say, hey, you notice that there's something strange coming from the sound of the rigging. You think there might be a rope, a line that's getting ready to snap.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
And it's another nice thing about digital character sheets too, because I use D&D Beyond when I run 5th edition because it's just super convenient, but I can pull up everybody's character sheets.
Yep.
And I can even roll dice on their sheets.
Well,
I have
Yeah,
my
yeah.
guys roll 10 d20s before the session, and I keep a list that's like, this person, and then have their scores. That way, if there's something that might happen to them that they may not realize is even happening, I can tell them, okay, this went
pre-rolled. I can see that. I can see that being an advantage. Pre-rolling some hidden rolls, have them pre-roll them, and just keep a note and cross them off as they go through. These are all ways of speeding things up. So let's see. I've run out of ones that I've starred. I have some comebacks that people have mentioned. I mean, I starred when Brian was sort of prodding to talk about voice chat. I starred every comment he made about that. Oh, Straw Piglet mentions going back to some systems being harder to learn. That's fair, but the DM will understand if that's the case. I fully understand that MERP can be a pain in the ass, and that's why I simplify things, and that's why I keep copies of all the tables somewhere close by to grab hold of them. And often when we run that, I'll just ask you to roll percentile dice. You don't need to understand the rules.
But even you, John, that it's easier on Roll20.
Yes, MERP for me is an exception in that it's easier on Roll20. Yeah. So there we go. But I fully understand. I mean, I don't expect people to work out the rules for MERP. I haven't fully worked out. I've worked out my version.
Okay.
Hey guys.
No, like I just can't. Like that is just like my brain is just going like why? Why would you not? Because that's like my thing is it's just like you read the system like start to finish, which is I mean at the moment I'm going through with Warhammer Rogue Trader. I'm still going through the core book a couple of times and splitting off into the supplements because it's one of those systems where if you have more books, it's gonna be more fun. And there are a lot of rules in there. There are a lot of delicious rules I can implement, but it's like I need to be able to understand it like inside out because I know I'm going to be the one that's going to have to explain it. I'm going to have to be explaining it from the point of view that we all are looking at the same page, reading the same words, so that it's a even playing field.
That being said, I've been using the Dungeon Master's Guide for 42 years, and every time I look through it, I find something that I didn't know.
Or forgot. Eli.
Unpopular opinion, perhaps, but when game designers learn how to write rule books, I will read them cover to cover. Because most game books are horrible to read. Most rule books are just a nightmare to read.
I find I just need to cut out the fluff, the stuff about here's the world, here's this. Don't care. Where's the numbers? Where is the mechanical examples? Where is this? Where is that? Where do I see the examples? How can I take this in? Now that I understand how this interacts with one another, now let me look at the abilities. Now these abilities means I can accumulate and build these things up, and I can have this outcome. Brilliant, great. I can now use that and murder some players. Let's go over to the next part.
Crunch.
We are Saxius. Resistance is futile. We will add your game mechanics to our own.
Joker, you had your hand up.
No, I had an itch. That's all.
Okay.
Very good excuse. No, Joker, speak. Tell us something. Have an opinion.
Say something. But say
in my day in World War II.
There we go.
Back in my day in World War II.
Day, and I'm like, okay.
This brings me on to
when I was a lad.
This brings me on to an example of the problem player that we have not mentioned so far. And that is the rules lawyer.
Oh my God.
They're lovely. What's the problem?
They're not all bad.
Honestly, they're great. The problems are the ones that are trying to change how you're running your game.
This brings me to another problem player, the ones who interrupt when I'm in the middle of making a point.
Because you're wrong.
Are you talking? I apologize. Go ahead.
No, go, Zaxius.
Bingo sheet!
Somebody had
exactly. Just go on.
Somebody had on one of their streams, and it might have been one of you guys, might have been someone else I was watching, about the various types of rules lawyers. You got the one person that just, they know the book inside and out, and they can be helpful because that way you don't have to get your book out and look.
Yes.
But then there's the other one that's like, well, but DM, actually you're wrong because, boy, you're going to enjoy running your own game because you are not playing in mine anymore.
Yeah.
There's the
I miss having my buddy Derek at my table because he was a rules lawyer for good. That's even his tagline on his convention badges. So,
Yeah, I have one of my one of the cornerstone players of my Saturday group for both second edition and this Warhammer game. He is definitely a rules lawyer, and he's on more than one occasion basically gone to me and said, like, Oscar, I think you're misreading this rule. I was like, that's great. Please tell me that, because I'm still human. I can still make some mistakes here and there. I've also had to deal, once or twice, I've had the rules lawyer that's trying to bend me over to then do like, no, this is what the rule says. This is what I want. So I was like, no, no. That's a wonderful word. No. What are they going to say? They can point at all the books they want to reference all the pages. It's like, no. There you go. That's your Achilles hit. No, because I say so. Because I am the DM. You know what I'm not going to go and get it now. No. Let me finish this one here. I'm not going to go and get it right now. My wife has bought me that says a hoodie that says, because I am the damn DM.
I mean, there's always rule 0, which is basically, the DM rule. I mean, and just about every, game written since D&D has had, and probably before D&D, has had the little caveats put into them saying that, the game is what you make of it. The guys who wrote D&D and who write just about every other RPG seldom play by the rules that are in the book.
Precisely.
The rules in the book are there for general consumption and to get the baseline of the game out there, but they're written with full expectation that people are going to customize and modify it. So
I don't know if Slan is still in the chat or not, but he does his things where he will go over all the new first level magic user spells in Unearthed Arcana.
And the cantrips and all that fun stuff.
Well, he was doing that, and there's one in there that one of my players uses all the time that we had both read wrong. I think it's armor. And when Slan went through it, he's talking about, if you break it down, it says that it gives you this armor class bonus until you take X amount of points of damage, then the armor class bonus goes away. The way my player and I looked at it is like it gives you basically ghost hit points. And when those ghost hit points go away, then you start taking actual damage. So, that's something that my magic user and I are going to have to revisit Saturday before the game starts. Like, hey, we've been looking at this spell wrong. And I'll say, since I looked at it wrong too, it's like, how do you want to adjudicate this? Should we have it where it caps out at a certain level or only half of it is the phantom points, or do you want to go right straight by what it is in the book? That way his character that he has worked with this understanding already and plays it based on that doesn't have to do a total rethink, but yeah, I mean, again, something that fresh eyes looking at an old rule or someone that read it better than I did, he's going to get it right.
I mean, the only clear answer there is trial by combat.
But John, so what is it about?
He was a tanker. I don't know. It'll be a good fight.
Go Sax.
What is it about rules lawyers that you just can't enjoy?
Well, because there are obstructive rules lawyers. There are rules lawyers who are there to be right and not to do anything that benefits the game. They're going to shut your game down until they actually can get you to agree. They're not always right, because sometimes the ruling that you make is an exception to the rules because the situation dictates it, or perhaps that's how you decided to run it in your game. And the rules lawyer butting heads with you, trying to get you to bend to their will.
Here's one example. I used to meet up on a Saturday afternoon with a group of players from all around the local area, and we had a shop which was central. We couldn't all travel to each other's houses because not everyone had the right forms of transport, but we could all get to the shop. So we paid £10 between us for 3 hours to rent a room in this shop to play, and there'd typically be 4 or 5 of us. So it would cost us £2.50 for the session, which it's peanuts. It's less than it's a coffee. It's half a pint of beer. It's whatever. It was cheap. That didn't matter. What mattered is we had 3 hours. 3 hours. One guy joined our group and was okay to begin with, and then his rules lawyer tendencies came to the fore. And a session with him started becoming an hour and a half of play, an hour and a half to 2 hours of him arguing the toss because he would refuse to back down on anything regarding specific rules.
Right.
I think the most important distinction is a good rules lawyer is the rules lawyer who's going to make his point, hear the GM, and then be willing to go, okay, I just wanted you to know. Or, okay.
Or they bring it up after the game one-on-one with the GM.
Yes, that's fine, yeah.
Have it outside the game. And, I mean, I might turn the table a little bit here, but as the game master, it's also okay for you to turn around and say, I'm not having this conversation. And if they insist, it's like, right, let's fold it all down and then look at them and go, you're disrupting the game now. There are other people here. If this is a problem, we'll take it after the game.
This particular player wouldn't do that. This particular player would not let that happen.
Well, then let me put it very simple.
He got booted eventually.
Well, there you go. That's the solution I have.
Yeah.
At that point, eventually that's too late for me.
There were other red flags as well, so
that's fine. My point is, there are ways to conduct yourself. There are rules in which to engage this with. Yes. And a bad rules lawyer will ignore all social cues and all social setups that we have in the social contract when we are running these games. And whereas the good ones will say, hey, by the way, this one is what I remember it as, so on. As a game master, you can say, right, I'll look into that later. Right now, this is how I've prepared stuff.
Yes, exactly.
And you take it from there.
Yeah.
Well, Jeb brings up a thing here talking about rules lawyers he's had at his table. How many of us have actually had the problematic rules lawyer? I've only had one.
One.
Yeah, I think I've had two. I've had two, but
we were going to the Temple of Elemental Evil, and I knew that both my players, because I was only DMing for two people, had been through it before. So I wanted to make it a challenge for them instead of let's see how much they can recall. So in the Earth Temple, the cleric had one of the earth elementals spread himself out into a layer of dust across all the hallways. Well, they had dust of disappearance, so they thought they were just going to waltz through that and do whatever they wanted. Well, no, that cleric knew every step they took because it was communicated to him by the earth elemental they were walking on. And one of the players got pissed off about that. You're just trying to cheat us. You just want to kill us. You think it's, whatever. If you can't do that, you're bringing your meta knowledge from having gone through this before, and it's not working. Boy, it sucks to be you.
Yeah, I think that's beyond even rules lawyer issue right there. That's just a problematic player who wants to win and doesn't understand GMs who are going to play tactfully and tactically. Another guy, Matt Colville mentions an adventure that he was on where he had a golem not beat a character to the ground and then do the killing blow, and that player got mad because you're just trying to kill my character. Literally, it's the golem's job. Like,
yeah.
If the players are outnumbered and but they're slaying all the goblins, and the goblins rush them and shove them off the cliff. You're not being a dick. The goblins are doing what they have to survive / win.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, that's what I did to my in my Witcher campaign. I had
cliff.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't hear complaints from my Witcher campaign when I had 5 drowners jump a Witcher. I didn't hear. All I heard was the delicious cries of horror as the player realized that it was him versus 5, and in this system, that's a bad thing. That he wasn't in 5th edition. That's the critical damages here didn't just do more damage. It was now going to start puncturing and weakening his character to the point of where his stats would start being lowered, having a knock-on effect for the rest of that. Fight. I mean, probably maybe for the rest of the campaign, assuming that everything's going well for the Doctor.
Is that a damage mechanic from that game specifically, or one that you just implement?
No, it's from literally straight out of the box from the Witcher campaign.
Okay.
It's the same as Cyberpunk, where they use like Friday nights fights or something like that. Where
Friday Night Firefight.
yeah, that's the one. And your character now takes permanent damage to their bodies. Like your speed is now reduced by 50%, your strength is now reduced by X amount, and so on and so on. And that has a knock-on effect by being out in the open, and by not taking cover, or by allowing you to be ganged up on.
Wait, are we talking about my favorite system in the entire world, the Interlock Friday Night?
Yes, we are. Because
oh, we're not talking about fucking D&D anymore. I'm so happy.
Yeah,
no, great. I literally just did
Welcome back, Bear.
D&D.
No, it's great.
No, it's the Death Spiral, right? That's the one thing. People hate Death Spiral, and I've noticed something. The people who hate Death Spirals are the people who want to win the game.
Yes.
Merp has a good death spiral in the stun system. In the criticals are a lot of stuns, and if you're stunned, then anyone trying to hit you the next round has got a bonus to hit you again. So it can be a bit of a death spiral.
No, I mean, more is it? So you going back to the interlock system, what this player learned was, I have an unlimited amount of times I can block. Oh, fantastic! It's like, yes, but every time it happens, you get another penalty because you go beyond what you can do. You can do one for free, penalty to one, and so on and so on, and just kept them stacking up. And because you don't just do one attack for a creature, you could do a heavy attack or you could do a light attack, at least in Witcher. So now most of the enemies come at you doing light attacks, which is 2 quick succession attacks. Well, now suddenly you're going to be dodging with some severe penalties or trying to parry. That's not good. And oh wait, what's that? You're now fighting and there's 5 of them around you. Well, you now get a penalty for every person beyond the first one. And now you're having a -4 to your attacks thereafter. Oh boy. Am I going to be dragging you down to the ground and absolutely munching you up while I tear out your heart? Yes, I am. And guess what? I'm going to be laughing at you. I'm going to tell you to roll better.
Well, even
Something else that... Go on.
Even in like a simpler system like D&D, I guess it's been a house rule or something that just didn't get paid attention to. My players were a little bit surprised when they were fighting a mass of small things that weren't all standing right in front of their shield. No, you've got a medium shield. It only works against 1 attack from the front and 1 attack from the front left flank. The one attacking from the front right flank does not have that shield bonus to your armor class. The one behind you, your dex doesn't help.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, with them, going back to Bear's point about a system, players who like to win tend not to like villains to be played very intelligently.
What?
Because a very intelligent villain will not just stand there and fight. Let's say, something they realised on Tuesday night.
Don't you mean villains are just pinatas of hit points that you beat until experience falls out? Isn't that what they are?
Yeah.
I was going to say,
clever.
Have you not been signed up to the fantastic heroic Patreon that is so easily accessible and now provides a myriad of other things?
Must not stop.
Including literature now, as well as an expansion onto the world of the Zenith. Have you not seen the horrifying stats of Warlord and how it fucked you up?
One thing I liked about last night's Cthulhu session was that as a group, you finally started discussing the idea that the bad guy was attacking you on his terms. When he could, when he had the opportunity to catch you at difficult times.
Yeah.
You finally started discussing how to avoid him doing that.
Yeah.
Because that is what has been happening. You finally worked that out. That's what has been happening. That is what he's been doing. That's how he's been catching you. That's how he's been going. And you've worked that out now, which is good. It's a massive step forward to how you approach the rest of the campaign, the rest of the game.
Yes, but now that he'll soon find out that we know that.
Well, he'll have to learn that. He'll have to learn that.
So solve the problem with dynamite.
I mean, the player.
Well, I mean,
don't start the grenade.
I was going to say, I will say, I did want to pull a grenade and put it in that box and explode it, but
players who want to win, and even regular players are always going to cringe when you start having the monsters, the enemies, the bad guys, whatever it is, fight intelligently, using tactics. The Griffin doesn't just stay there in range and hover above you within sword reach. He swoops in, attacks, and is out of reach. He swoops back in and attacks and is out of reach. Brian, who's in the chat, you remember when we ran that fight against the big snow lion, the big white lion, and by the sword, it came out of the ring of it attacked from the darkness, ran through the camp, attacked, and then back into darkness, and then circled back around and came back. It kept coming in, hitting the party until they finally changed their tactics, and that's. But the player who wants to win is going to always piss and moan when you decide to have your bad guys be intelligent. Like when, Cyberpunk Friday Night Firefight, like you were mentioning. First of all, Witcher sounds like it's a soft version of Friday Night Firefight, because I'm like, all these points diminishing my abilities, you should be dead by now. Cyberpunk, you took 2 rounds, 7.62, you're dead. Unless you have armor.
Or alternately, you're lying on the floor holding your guts in, screaming for your mother.
But yeah, when you have the Militech, corporate troopers start taking cover or insert tactically from the rooftops, and the party is surrounded, and of course it's Cyberpunk, so there's maybe 3 of them because it's usually small groups. They're like, what do we do now? And they get all pissed and moan at you. But
that sounds absolutely brutal. Where the hell do I sign up?
Oh, I will run you. Okay. All right, I'll run you through a Cyberpunk game sometime.
Yeah, no.
Don't play with.
I will leave this in Bear's corner. Like he will fuck you up.
As I always say, Heroic, even D&D, all these other games, I run for you, the players. It's for your enjoyment. It's for your experience together. Cyberpunk, I run for me, and you're just in the way of the bullets.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't run Cyberpunk that way, but
No. I'll make it great. There'll be a story. You'll be invested, which will make your character's death even more satisfying. Also make 3 or 4
good game master.
Yes.
You've got to remember that Iman's biggest weakness is as a player is he has to poke and prod things. He has.
I have one of those in my group too. The guy who wants to touch it is always a useful player to have in your group.
Absolutely.
You need the guy who will play anything. That's every group's best friend. The guy who will play everything, and then the guy who will always touch it, because he's going to always keep the action moving.
Well, that's why you have ear seekers and rot grubs and mimics.
Here's one of my
carrion crawlers, will-o-wisps.
Green slime. Nothing fucks up party cohesion and introduces chaos like green slime.
She would just drip on
well, I'm going to just burn it off because that's what you do with green slime. Excellent. You just lit the elf on fire. Like,
my magic user, when they got back to town, had to trade his 9-foot staff 9-foot pole in for a 10-foot pole because he was probing the ground and found a green slime with it, and it ate a foot off his 10-foot pole before they were able to.
It's better than him eating a foot off his foot.
Exactly. But yeah, so for the rest of that session, I'm going to use my 10-foot pole. You don't have a 10-foot pole; you only have a 9-foot pole.
I mean, I think he's still got plenty of pole left, but yeah.
Well, unless you're hitting that trunk that releases a poison gas in a 10-foot radius.
Fair enough.
Oh my God! If one of my players said I'm buying a 10-foot pole, I would laugh at them for hours on fucking end. And then the other player says I'm bringing marbles and I'm bringing sand, and I'd be like, Jesus Christ, Indiana Jones, we're playing a fucking game.
Well, I mean, I know you don't like it.
You bring caltrops. That's what you bring.
Let's tap all the stones on the
Hey,
oh
now,
my God, exciting gaming, let me tell you.
So as a thing I did as an annoying player once is like the things that GMs and other players don't think about sometimes. So chalk in dungeons, right? And people are like, oh, right on the wall with chalk. And a lot of GMs will go, well, the monster comes through and wipes it off. I'm like, all right, I'm putting the chalk on the end of my 10-foot pole and I'm marking on the ceiling because nobody looks up. Statistically speaking, most people don't look up. Monsters, creepy crawlies, they're not going to look up, even if they will skitter across the ceiling. So all my markings were in the ceiling with the chalk at the end of my 10-foot pole.
Every kid that watched Journey to the Center of the Earth from back in the 60s knows you have to mark your path on the way down or you're not going to get out.
Listen, Boomer.
Meg Newson or whatever his name was, the original explorer.
Whatever, Boomer. Go back to your 60s and your mini skirts and your beehives.
Hey, tomorrow's my birthday, and I'm proud to be a very, very early Gen Xer.
Happy early birthday. Yes, Axies, fuck what?
I was just going to say that's why I love the crypt thing, because I've just got an OCD must clean everything monster in the dungeon that then goes around and cleans up everything, resets everything. So when the players leave and come back, it's like, oh, but why is this trap? We disarmed it. It's like, yeah, you did. Guess who came back and cleaned up after you? You left a mess.
Gelatinous cubes do a pretty good job of that.
Oh yeah.
Daniel,
Mind
you
you-
going to say something?
Sorry.
No.
No.
Daniel!
Come on, Daniel.
You can do it, Dan.
I'm good.
Guns are cool. Come on.
They are.
So it knows.
I'm playing with one right now, actually.
TMI.
So we were talking about character sheets. Well, I've got a couple for my NPCs here. Here is Slan, the Aged and Tetchy. And this is ELF-B8. And here's a picture of him. He was approved by some race that we don't know what it was that implanted all these things into his brain, and he went insane and had to be killed because he was killing off all the other elves because he didn't want them to get caught by this other bad guy. So he figured that was the best way to keep them safe.
Hence he's baiting elves.
Well, he's actually a medical experiment. When my party gets to expedition onto the barrier peak to the barrier peaks, that's how they are trying to recharge the batteries of this ship, is by tapping into the electrical currents in brains. And 1,000-plus-year-old elves have a lot of electrical current. That's why there are no elves over the age of 500 in my world, because they were all caught by these things and
That's
Matrix
the best thing to
style
happen to
layered
elves.
into the ship. Well, ELF-B8, that's his serial number, got loose. So that's their hint into how to try to get to this place.
I do like it when people on my Discord take the names of the people on the Discord and convert them into player characters. I've used and abused you all in my games.
My lawyers
Have
will
you?
be in touch.
Huh?
My lawyers will be in touch.
I don't care.
Axios.
Taxius the Taxius.
I am with
My
you.
lawyer.
I am with you. Like, I'd like to see where I consented to this. What do you have to prove this? Because I know what I have. I've got my image protection right over there, my IP.
Yeah. As a member of the Association of Canadian Radio and Television Artists, my lawyer will be in touch, sir, for unlawful uses of my likeness.
Okay. Well, Saxius, I don't have your likeness, but you are the chief accountant of Baytown. So
There we go. That's just my
you-
persona.
You oversee all the tax collectors for the entire city.
I'll allow it, says Saxius.
let me get my rubber stamp of this. Done.
Ooh, you got the rubber stamp.
And something I just heard about, talking about ancient Rome today, there is now going to be a tax imposed on using public urinals.
You know, I hadn't thought about Rome all day, you fuck.
There's going to be a P
All
tax.
day. I hadn't
Okay.
thought about Rome once.
My only thing is, at least they'll be using the urinals, unlike, Los Angeles, New York City, and Miami.
Oh, you do not want to get
Just
caught
all
in
over the
Baytown.
sidewalk.
You do not want to get caught in Baytown urinating on the street. That is bad news.
Just saying.
Joy.
They tax dwarves for having beards because they might lose more hair and make the sidewalks dirtier.
Come on. Okay, comfortably a little shit.
Which world leader was it who had a beard tax? I think it was Peter the Great. Peter the Great introduced a beard tax. Anyway, we divert. So, of those of us here, Elfbait, you'd have been taxed quite heavily by Peter the Great, I believe, as would be.
I don't have the best beard.
I have the potential to be.
My beard's crazy and wild and everywhere.
Yeah, there's a Yogg in my game, but they haven't found it yet. It's actually a computerized, encyclopedic type thing. Oracular globe. You touch any place on this globe and tell you what's happening in that part of the world. Except when the meteor hit and destroyed everything, there are now parts it's not getting signals from, and it's not happy about that.
Is it very pedantic?
It will be very upset if you talk about going into melee with a minotaur.
Does it get mad when you pronounce twat properly and then insists that you pronounce it in this back ass way?
Yeah.
Doesn't deny all
Also roughly the size of a Cheerio.
I need to add pronunciation arguments on the bingo.
Manfred is in it. He's a little boy who is the Cavalier squire now because the Cavalier rescued his parents, so they gave him up in exchange for their rescue.
He also transformed into a pig.
Does he have a fondness for goofy goblins?
Well, he was a stable boy, so he likes pigs already.
You're all right there, John.
He likes sheep.
He's
There is a
lost it.
difference.
We tipped him over.
We broke John.
I've got to say though, like, although we're ending the stream in about 12 minutes, like we've gotten quite strong. There's still 21 viewers.
We have, yes. It's 27 according to my thing here, because I can see Bear's one as well. So
I blame everyone.
Mac, it's the second one.
That last one isn't even a thing. Don't even acknowledge it.
Mac, if look up, George Carlin does a thing. He has a cheer. He says that most cheers are too boring, so he made up his own, and he pronounces it correctly in there.
Oh my God. I introduced my 13-year-old son to George Carlin last week. I don't think I've seen that boy laugh so hard in his life.
And how many of those words you can't say on TV is he now saying around the house?
Oh, yeah.
One of the few things I have seen
my
by
daughter
him.
will say, Dad, can I swear? She's 18. I'm like, I know what you're like when you're at high school. You don't have to ask me.
Hey, I asked my mom if I could swear. I mean, I was like, I actually came up to her when I was like maybe 8 or 9.
Well,
I'm like, hey, Mom, is it okay if I swear? She's like, sure, as long as you don't swear at me.
Yeah, no, see, my thing is I worked in I was a Ford setup for years. So I worked in a factory, and I do now again. I do not have a filter. If it goes through my mind, I'm going to say it. So my kids know every freaking word there is. And they know how to use them properly. And they say twit, not twat.
Twat. Rhymes with cat and hat.
Are you clearing your throat there?
I just thought he was imitating Count Von Count from Sesame Street. But
My daughter came home from work last weekend. First thing she does walking in the door, that stupid fucking cunt. I'm like, okay, not a good day at work.
that is the one word.
Sorry, I was gone. I had to get a cup of water.
Well, no, she understands that word. To me, is the worst thing you can call a female. And
Cunt?
yeah, and calling that's the name. If you go through my phone, that's my first wife's phone number is under that.
Okay, that's disturbing.
And
Secondly, you're the only ones in the English-speaking language who have such a bizarre relationship with that word.
For me,
We do a lot of stupid things with language, though. I am amazed, coming from a family that does a lot of baking, I am amazed at how many people lose their mind over the word moist.
yeah,
That's a meme. It's just it's because it's right up there with like clown fear. Like
that
very few people are actually bothered by moist, and very few people are actually afraid of clowns. It's just funny to tack
that
on
and
that.
calling a guy a douchebag.
Just combine moist with the word discharge. And there you go.
Ooh, Ooh, baby.
Well,
That's
Yeah,
That's,
hang on,
that's
hang on.
good in the bedroom
by
with your wife.
definition, wouldn't it have to be? I mean,
It's not
drive
good.
the after dark part of the stream.
It's not good in the doctor's office.
Bear's got two hands up. This is
All right, I'm just going to interrupt here because there is something very important that he would like to say. Thank you very much.
And I forgot because you guys fucked around so much. So sorry. It was.
Sorry,
Oh,
Bear.
that was it. Yeah. Never mind. Douchebag. Douche nozzle. You're not even the
Awful.
fucking
Douche
bag.
canoe.
You're just the fucking part that goes in, bitch. Like, come on.
That's the best part.
I once said to one of my coworkers, I said, I'm going to punch you in the dick. He goes, don't you mean the balls? I said, no, the dick. Specifically in the dick, so I leave a knuckle imprint so that every time you piss in the future, it goes, and he just fucking fell over laughing. It was the first thing he ever heard.
I don't remember what Mad Larry and Crazy something or other. Anyways,
Crazy Larry, Mad Harry, and Crazy. Fuck, I know the one. I know the movie you're
yeah.
talking about.
Anyways, at one point he threatens her. He says, "I'm going to braid your tits." And that was the best line as a 7-year-old I think I had ever heard.
Dirty Mary and Crazy Larry. That's the name
Yes.
of the fucking movie.
All right.
I'm
We've all
going to say that
started
to
being
my
silly
wife.
now,
Well,
haven't
if
we?
you
We've all
guys
started
don't
being
see me,
silly.
you know why.
But you know what I like more than anything else, though? Daniel's been mostly quiet for this conversation. Now that we're talking silly shit, Daniel's like, blah, 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 blah.
Those of you who've just joined the stream now, we've done 2 hours and 50 minutes on topic, and we are just in the nonsense phase because we're coming up towards the pumpkin hour when my head gets even bigger and fatter and balder than it usually is.
And as someone who's seen him in person, it is a ginormous fucking head.
Somebody
show that
call,
picture
somebody
again.
call up
My heart goes
Nightbot
out to
for
your
Demi-Lich over there in the chat.
Yes,
Speaking
so
of pumpkin hour, I'm going to get going, guys. I
oh,
should spend some time with my children.
Bah.
So have
You've
a
already
good
spent
night.
18 years with them. Come on.
Yeah, I know. I got to make them think they're loved.
That's fair.
Have a
Cheers,
good night,
Dan.
guys.
Cheers,
cheers,
Dan.
Daniel.
Take care, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, how do we kill the remaining 6 minutes?
Well, I'd like to do my one-man show for you called Cunt Life. It's quite entertaining. You'll quite like it, I think.
It's got to be better than Thug Life because they're pretty lame.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. Yes, but we have been very polite and constructive for 2 hours and 50 minutes, but I think we're just letting it all out now. Because
So did anybody make any cool New Year's resolutions?
no.
Yeah, never to come on this fucking show again. Jesus, I failed at that one.
And how many years you've doing about that?
Okay, again, I'm going to need a translator for that one, please.
Sorry, you.
All I heard was, hey, that.
And I said, how many years have you made that resolution on it?
I've only known him for 2, so twice.
I will say that tickets are now booked for Chaosium Con, which we'll be going to this year in May. We won't be going to UK Games Expo this year because a week earlier we have Chaosium Con. So we're going to have a weekend entirely of Call of Cthulhu.
Nice.
So far it looks like it's going to be me, Iman, Joker, and Mike. Mike he was on some of the very early streams, but he hasn't been on streams since. He is Mr. Sausage for those who know my channel.
And a phenomenal addition to our Call of Cthulhu campaign.
Yes, he's doing a good job, and we hope Andy can come. And Saxius, I think you should come. I really think you should come. I really think you should.
You guys need to get some kind of bulk ticket so you can all come to CleriCon next year.
Seriously.
I intend to come. I intend to come to CleriCon next year.
I will be your adopted son of a different.
Mayor, you were talking about
Why
doing
not need a
that
passport?
Airbnb kind of thing. I fully support that.
The idea was to see if we can find a house with multiple rooms and get like 4 or 5 of us and rent an Airbnb as opposed to paying those ridiculous hotel prices.
I couldn't
There's one
believe
fucking
that.
hotel in Georgetown. One.
That would be a
And-
good idea.
And for 2 bedrooms for the 2 nights was $500,
Oh,
which is absurd. But it's the only hotel in Georgetown, so they can charge whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I'm lucky in that I've pretty much got an open invite to stay on Sean's floor for that. He's already said that coming back next year. But obviously, if Andy's talking about possibly going to Clericon, Iman's talking about possibly going to Clericon, if you can sort something out, getting a place for a weekend for everyone to share, that would be ideal. That would be ideal, because there is that.
a no-go for me. So
don't make me start a fucking Kickstarter fund or a GoFundMe for you, Eli.
No, yeah, I mean, I have the time off. I have the time off. I just can't get there, and I can't afford to be there. So
Again, don't make me start a GoFundMe for you. I wanted to do this last year, and I've been thinking about doing it this year, is starting a GoFundMe for people to say, like, people are like, look, I can't afford to make it, and see if we can, through the community, raise enough money to help everybody that wants to come but can't afford to come, to be able to come and have a nice vacation and have a good fucking time. We tend to have a very generous community between all our channels. We tend to have people who are very gracious and very helpful, and if everybody can swallow their pride when maybe the community helps them out to go have some fun, that could be a really cool thing and really maybe even positive for us all.
I know I've got some duplicates and extras of materials. Maybe we could do some kind of auction to raise money.
Whatever we could do to raise the Clericon fund, but I think it would be awesome just because A, it's an amazing convention that doesn't seem to have any of the bullshit that you hear about at other conventions. B, it's us. We're good people in our own way.
It was really, really good this year. Dungeon Minister's done a great job. But I fully accept that. Obviously, it still cost me the best part of $1,000 in English money, equivalent to about $1,200 in American money to go over. And I was there for a week. And obviously, Iman, if you and Andy are planning on coming along, you've got to factor into that accommodation, which is a bit of a ball ache in Canada. So if Bear's idea of hiring out a place can come to fruition, that would really help.
Yeah, I'd very much be on board with that.
Yeah.
No, we'll figure it out. We got time, but not too much time.
Yeah, for our fishing trip every year, we just started doing Airbnbs. Before that, we were doing cabins. We got a 16, again, American prices, whatever. We got a 16-bed place for 8 nights for just over $3,000. So, I mean, that boiled down between all of us to be very reasonable for a real nice place that we stayed on the lake, with 3 boats included.
Split 16 ways for 8 nights. So, yeah, that's
just
fine,
under $25, which is pretty good.
That is pretty damn good. Yeah, that's pretty damn good.
16
point off
3,000.
Yeah, so I just did 15 because it's easier, and then take a little bit more off.
Okay.
And of course, we all chipped in for food and all that, but still, I mean, it was. We got a damn good rate. That's the picture that I put up where we found the fencing foils down in the basement. So me and the other guy have flotation vests on our chest, and we're fencing with. I think I put that on the Discord at one point.
I remember that picture.
Sergeant Dan stuff. Thank you for the $2. Mythic Con West, Asheville, North Carolina, February 28th to March 2nd, 2025. Little advert.
You will be there. Sergeant Dan will be there.
I ordered myself some cool birthday presents, and if they come, I will have more extras that could be auctioned off because I found a Menser Red box still in the box. At some point, I thought, hey, I'll save space. I'll throw away all these stupid boxes and just keep the books because I was a total idiot long ago. So, yeah, I will have 2 full sets of the books for it. So
excellent,
same thing.
Excellent. I mean, if there's anything we can do between our channels to help,
and if not, I'll just put them up for sale at the con. Maybe somebody could make use of them there.
Yeah. My big thing is my priority is being able to get back to my kids every Christmas. So that's where most of my money is.
Yeah, right. I am going to have to call it my side and go to bed.
Alrighty.
With one minute left. Can't even make it the post distance. My God.
No, I won't go the distance. I'll go
Nobody
almost
did-
there.
What a control
Nobody
freak.
did here.
Take care.
Cheers, Sax. Cheers,
Yeah.
Sax. But no, we have actually we
There we
have
go.
hit midnight. We have hit midnight. So this is the point where I'm going to say to people who have channels, do your shilling if you wish. Don't
Not a
wish.
shilling to my name.
No shilling for my channel. It's still on hiatus. I did an episode recently that was just a check-in. So
Okay. Well,
I
I'll
don't know.
shill for
Maybe something
mine.
one day.
I'll shill for mine. I was hoping my little B3 short would get a lot more views than it has had. So if you haven't seen it, check it out. That's all I've done this week, though. I'm going to hopefully do a few more readings. Manfred has asked me to read some longer fiction. There is a time sink involved in that. If you imagine, if I read a 10-minute, enough stuff for 10-minute video, it probably takes about 2 hours to read, edit, filter, all that sort of stuff, and upload. So imagine that if I do a longer one, how long that would take.
Does
When
he
I
want
did
a
the
longer one so we can try and fall asleep?
That's exactly what I want. Yes, he wants me to
Yes.
send him to sleep. Yes, but in the Call of Cthulhu, when I did that, I did 3 videos of 20 to 30 minutes when I broke it down to the 3 chapters. That took a long time, a long time. That's before I was doing sort of any sort of proper sound editing as well. So yeah, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. But I do plan to do some more readings. I have got At the Mountains of Madness, Dr. Seuss style, ready to go. I haven't read it all yet. It's a bit longer than the other ones I've done the Dr. Seuss style ones of. But that is what I plan to do ASAP. Until then, I guess I'll see you all. If you're going to be on the stream Friday, I'll be streaming Friday. And if you're playing any of the games this weekend, I'll see you there. Thank you, everybody on the panel, and those who have been and gone, Saxius and Dan, and then we have Iman and Eli and Halakar, Joker, and Bear. Thank you, fellas. It's been a pleasure as always, and thank you, chat. It's been a very, very. I think tonight's stream has actually been. We stayed on topic for really, really well for the vast majority of it. So. Excellent work.
That won't happen again, but it was fun.
Well, I'd want to, that's it.
When's our next Codex Albana, Bear?
February. We already have it on the calendar. You already know this. Imran, what's the date?
11th.
Thank you for the reminder.
February 8th, but that's
the
okay. We can pretend it's the 11th, but it's on the 8th, since the 11th of February is a Tuesday. So that might be hard to do the game on that day.
Oh, okay. The 8th then.
Yeah. Right. Thank you all. I'm going to get off now. Good night.
Ooh, phrasing.
Good night, everybody.
Oh.
night.